Good morning, everyone. This hearing of the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers, otherwise known as the Blue Ribbon Committee, is now in order. We have had several hearings before, and before I begin, I'd like to welcome our guests, and I'd like to ask our Director for the Blue Ribbon to introduce the guests and at the same time administer the oath for those who have not been administered.
Mr. Chair, may I proceed?
Please go ahead.
Present today are Dr. Francisco T. Duque, the third Secretary of the Department of Health. Dr. Pauline Sheen B. Rosel Upial, former Secretary of the Department of Health. Dr. Gerardo Bayugo, Undersecretary, Office for Technical Services, Department of Health. Dr. Lyndon Lee Sui, Assistant Secretary, Office for Technical Services. Dr. Benjamin Ko, Director for Center for Drug Regulation and Research, CDD.
Would you come forward, please, so that we don't have to look for you? Go ahead.
Dr. Melissa Guerrero, Executive Assistant, Office of Senator Francisco T. Duque III. Dr. Mario S. Baquilon, OIC Director for Disease Prevention and Control Bureau. Dr. Maria Joyce Ducusin, OIC Director 3, Disease Prevention and Control Bureau of the Department of Health. Dr. David Lozada Jr., former Undersecretary of the Department of Health.
Excuse me, may I request all the personnel of the Department of Health, the officials as well as those that were called, to sit together so that I can immediately find you. Dr. Pajardo, would you like to sit? Baquilon, no? Could you please sit together? Just so I can spot you right away. Go ahead, please.
From the DOH Dengue Vaccine Expert Panel, Undersecretary Eric Domingo and
Yes.
Dr. Celia Carlos.
Celia, can you come over, please, Celia? You should expose your beauty to the whole world,
From the
as well as your
Department,
knowledge.
representing the Department of Budget and Management, Director Cristina Clasara.
Could the DBM please come forward here? See, I have a seating arrangement here so that it will help me because there are too many of you. And can you please
From the Food and Drug Administration, we have Attorney Emilio Polig Jr., representing the Director General Puno, who currently is not feeling well and therefore is absent today.
That's too bad, yes. Who is the replacement?
Dr. Emilio Polig Jr.
Pauline,
Polig.
P-O-L-I-G,
Yes, sir.
Pauline.
Ms. Maria Lourdes Santiago, Deputy Director General for Field Regulatory Operations Office.
For Santiago?
From the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, Dr. Maria Rosario Z. Capedin, Medical Specialist 4.
Welcome.
And Dr. Socorro Lupisan, Director.
Dr. Lubisan, where are you?
From
Dr. Lubisan, where are you?
Dr. Socorro Lupisan.
Are you still with the Department of Health? Would you like to sit down with your conference?
She's with our ITM, sir. From
Melissa, would you like to sit down beside Mr. Pauline? Yeah. Excuse me?
Can the chair of the Formulary Executive
I
Committee
know.
be given?
So I just wanted to sit in center.
From the Public Attorney's Office, Attorney Persida V. Rueda Acosta,
Welcome.
Chief Public Attorney, and Dr. Erwin Erfe, Director, PAO Forensic Laboratory. From the World Health Organization, Dr. Gundo Aurel Weiler.
Hi, Gundo. How are you?
From Sanofi Pasteur, Tomas Triumph,
Welcome back.
and Mr. Ta Wen Yu.
What's up?
And from Zulik Pharma Corporation, Mr. Raymond Azurin. We also have Dr. Tony Liachon as resource persons, Dr. Mary Ann Lansang, Dr. Kenneth Artigango, Dr. Lulu Bravo, Professor of Pediatric Infectious and Tropical Diseases, Dr. Francis.
Are you with UP or UP? And you're not with the Department of Health. Okay, so you're.
Dr.
You may sit down in the more comfortable chair, like a senator.
Dr. Francisco Tranquilino,
Yes.
specialist in adult medicine, and we have also Dr. Scott Halstead.
Welcome, Dr. Halstead. We have Dr. Dance and Inday Dance. Tony, you may sit in the middle if you like. Separated from your bitter half. Is that okay? Or would you like to be together? Would you like to be together, Tony? Dr. Dance? Would you like to be together with your, in case you want to hold hands later on? Thank you.
From the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Ana Lena Lopez, Director, Institute of Child Health and Development.
Anna, how are you?
We also have Imelda Peña,
Please come forward.
Dennis Santiago from GPPB,
Dennis Santiago? Where is he? You know, I often wonder why people who are invited hide in the sidelines. It makes me very suspicious. Although I know them. Go ahead.
Attorney Liza Bagsao Manalang from PCMC,
PTNT.
PCMC, Children's Medical
Oh, yes.
Center.
I was wondering what PTNT was doing here. Go ahead.
That's it, Mr. Chair. People have sent letters of excuse because they're not feeling well or they're abroad. They're Dr. Selecciones, who's running a fever. Dr. Francis Cruz, who's also running a high
Does he
fever.
have dengue?
He didn't say.
I would be very concerned.
He didn't
And the
say.
other one?
Dr. Francis Cruz is also running he's running a high fever. He just texted. And abroad are Dr. Lam and Dr. Garin.
Oh, that's too bad. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to welcome Dr. Scott Halstead here. Welcome, sir. And also welcome all the rest of our Filipino compatriots here, our experts, our doctors, our resource persons here, and of course, WHO. Just a word here. Dr. Halstead, I'm told by World Health Organization, I was asked, comes through the auspices of World Health Organization. But he is going to come here and speak here on his own. He's not speaking for World Health Organization. I just want to be sure Gundo doesn't have a heart attack. I just wanted to be sure that I covered his remarks here. That Dr. Halstead, I'm sure, can stand on his own, being an eminent practitioner and expert on dengue. This is our 7th meeting here on the matter of Dengvaxia. And gusto ko pong magbigay ng isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I will speak in Tagalog with the permission of Dr. Halstead because the audience is very interested. Gusto na malaman ko ano ang Dengvaxia because we have had a lot of stress in connection with this situation. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. At ito na nga po ang ating ikapitong hearing sa usapin ng Dengvaxia. Bawat hearing, lalong lumalalim ang pag-unawa natin sa isyong ating kinaharap. Noong nalaman natin ang tungkol sa karapatan natin para sa isang informed consent. Ito po ay isang napakahalagang karapatang pantao sa larangan ng kalusugan at medisina. I will translate. This is our 7th hearing, and it's very, very important because as we go deep into the hearings, our people are become more educated, especially on the matter of vaccines. Vaccines are good for the people. Mabuti po yan sa mga tao, lalo po yung pinag-aralan na vaccine. So yung measles ngayon, marami tayong measles ngayon, ay tumutulong pa ho ang Red Cross ngayon sa vaccination ng measles. At yung aking po mga apo sa Hong Kong ay nagkaroon ng chickenpox. At maingat rin po yan at nagpapavaccinate na rin po ang marami dyan. So sa mga nanonood at nakikinig, wala pong masama sa vaccination, lalo na yung mga vaccination na palagi natin ginagawa nung araw pa. Na wala po ang polio, at nakita nyo, nung araw wala pang polio vaccine. Yung presidente mismo ng Amerikano na si Franklin Delano Roosevelt ay nagkaroon ng polio, kaya bumilis ang talagang pag-i-examine ng gamot para sa mga sakit na ganyan. Kaya mahalaga po sa lahat na nakikinig natin na dapat sundin po ninyo yung vaccination program ng Department of Health. Although sa Dengvaxia, frozen po ngayon yan, hindi po pinapairal yan. At sapagat under investigation ngayon ang Dengvaxia. Wala po tayong pinapa-inectionan na Dengvaxia. Having said that, kailangan malaman rin po ng mga mamayan yung tinatawag nating informed consent. People have a right to informed consent, especially when there is vaccination. Kaya may katungkulan po ang gobyerno na sabihin sa inyo kung anong itinuturo, sa ibang doktor kung anong binibigay sa inyo, tungkulin po nila yan, hindi kayo basta bigyan ng gamot na hindi nyo pwedeng tanongin sa kanya kung ano yan at para saan yan at kung anong maaaring side effects. You have the right to ask questions. That's a human right to have informed consent. Nakakalungkot ang isipin na habang naiintindihan natin ang issue ito, naunawaan din natin na lubusan ang kamalian ng ating pamahalaan. Our government has made a terrific error here. That is my own judgment on the matter from all the data that I have secured here. We hurried pell-mell, nagmadali tayo rito at nasabi na ng mga dalubhasa rito na hindi dapat nag-mass vaccination kaagad. Ibig sabihin, walang nagre-recommend ng mass vaccination sa Dengvaxia. Wala akong natanong dito na bukod doon sa Sanofi na siyempre patutugunan nila yung Dengvaxia na okay sa kanila yun. Pero sa mga dalubhasa ngayon, sinasabi nila di tayo dapat tumuloy kaagad sa mass vaccination. Ang Dengvaxia ay isang bakuna na binibigyan lang sa pamamagitan ng payo ng doktor. In other words, it is a prescription drug. It can only be given because of FDA approval, subject to the condition that there is a prescription. Of course, I have strong reservations here because ang sinasabi kong kamalian ng ating gobyerno, pagka sa mayaman, pwede magkaroon ng doktor, may prescription. Ang pinagtatakan ko, kung nire-require ng FDA na may prescription, bakit nire-require na nakaraang administrasyon ng Department of Health na magpa-mass vaccination? In other words, walang laban yung tao na basta marami akong narinig at nakita ninyo kulang pa yung pinakita mga papel na sinasabi na sila ay may informed consent. At maling-mali yung mga papel na pinakita sa mga mamayan natin na kulang sa impormasyon. Ang Dengvaxia ay binigay matapos ang test para malaman kung ano ang zero status ng pasyente. Zero negative ba siya o zero positive? Nakakalungkot lang na sa mga nangyayari sa kasalukuyan, ang mga mayayaman ay nabigyan ng pagkakataon magkaroon ng sariling doktor at makapagsagawa ng test upang masiguro ang kalusugan ng mga bata na anak na mayayaman sapagkat sila mismo ang kumukuha ng kanilang sariling doktor. Pero pagdating sa publiko, hindi sila makapamili. Sinabi libre yung bakuna, makakabuti sa kanila. Pero bagong bakuna ito, turok lang ng turok, kaya biglang lumabas yung bagong datos na makakasama ito sa zero negative, kaya maraming nagulantang at ngayon may namamatay. Hindi pa natin alam kung diyan ay dala ng Dengvaxia. Samantala naman ang mahihirap ay binigyan ng bakunang ito ng ating gobyerno at ang Sanofi sa 830,000 na mga bata. 830,000 people were given mass inoculation without advice from a personal doctor. Mas malala pa, hindi nasabihan ang mga magulang o guardian ng mga bata sa mga pwedeng masamang mangyari sa mga bata. We have gathered witnesses who claim that they were not properly informed. Sa puntong ito, nilabag nila ang karapatan ng mga nabakunahan para sa isang informed consent. Lahat ng ito ay nangyari dahil na-regulatory capture ang gobyerno natin ng Sanofi. Again, that is a value judgment on my part. Sanofi really went on full court press from the president. They came down here during APEC. They came down here. They invited our people to their headquarters, our highest officials of the Department of Health. And of course, there is a provision in our law on ethical behavior of public officials that they should not expose themselves unnecessarily lest they provide a perception to the public na pwede yung ginagawa nila ay makaka-impluensya sa mga pinanunungkulan nila, yung mga kanilang mga tao na nasa ilalim nila at sa mga taong nanonood sa kanila, nasusunod dahil sa kanilang mataas na pwesto. Na-regulatory caption na tayo dahil yun nga, marami sa atin ay tinatawag na conflicted. That is why sa America there is a sunshine law na pinagbabawalan na ang mga doktor na kukuha ng mga suporta sa mga pharmaceutical companies dahil na-influensyahan sila masyado. I'd like to welcome the Chairman of the Committee on Health, J.V. Ejercito. Welcome, Senator, for this hearing. Para sa pag-unawa ng karamihan ang nangyayari sa regulatory caption, imbis na umakto ang ating mga ahensya na mariregulate upang proteksyonan ang interes ng mga mamamayan, madalas baliktad ang nangyayari. Napoproteksyonan nila ang interes ng mga nire-regulate nila. They become spokesmen of the drugs that they have been influenced on. Hindi na sila nagiging bastonero o bantay o sentinel para mapangalagaan ang interes ng mga pasyente. Sa pagdinig natin ngayon, inibitahan natin ang isang eksperto sa dengue mula sa Estados Unidos na matagal ng eksperto, several decades na pinag-aaralan ang tinatawag na Antibody Dependent Enhancement, ADE. Nais na natin malaman sa ating eksperto, base sa mga nalalaman niya sa dengue, kung paano natin maayos ang suliranin kinakakaharap natin ngayon. Siyempre, hindi matatapos ang ating pagdinig ng hindi pinag-uusapan ng issue ng accountability. Sino ba talaga ang pasimuno nito? Sino ba talaga ang nagbigay ng hudyat para umpisahan na ang pagbabakuna ng hindi pa handa? Meron na tayong malaking kaalaman dyan, pero ngayon, ito siguro na ang pinakahuling hearing natin sa Dengvaxia. At dito ay gagawa na kami ng aming desisyon. At I would imagine that we already have at least 90% of our conclusions. And we are open still to any new information that may come in. Sa paguli, gusto rin nating marinig ang mga magulang ng mga batang naturukan. Ito ay para malaman ang kanilang mga hinaing at nang masolusyonan ng mga kinaukulan kung dati hindi man narinig ang boses nila, kung payag ba sila maturukan ang kanilang mga anak. Nakakalungkot na ngayon, nararapat lang siguro na sa ngayon marinig na sila sa usaping ito. So, this morning, I would like to welcome again Dr. Scott Halsted, who came all the way from the United States. And like I said earlier, for the information of Senator Ejercito, he came here on the auspices of World Health Organization, and he's speaking. Whatever statements he makes here are completely his own. Does that cover it, Gondo? Okay, thank you. So, with your permission, I'd like to call Dr. Halsted, and if I may be allowed to ask some questions along with the members of the committee. Dr. Halsted, I am obliged to ask you to raise your hand and speak under oath. Please stand up because I hope that you will. It's called equal protection of the laws and equal implementation of the laws. Go ahead.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Halsted. Dr. Halsted, you've been studying diseases like dengue for a long, long time, particularly dengue. Have you not, sir?
Correct.
And you're considered one of the principal experts in the field of dengue medicine. Would that be correct, sir?
Correct.
Thank you. In your study of dengue, is there currently a known vaccine that is effective against dengue? From your point of view,
I believe so, yes.
there is. What would that be, sir?
Not one that's licensed, but one that, not one that's licensed, but one that is, for which a lot of data is available in the published literature. In other words, when you say vaccine, I mean, of course, a vaccine isn't, in a way, available to the public until it's licensed. But as Sanofi people will tell you, it takes a long time of testing to bring a candidate vaccine along. There are now 3 candidate vaccines that are in human testing. One which is completed, the Sanofi vaccine, and 2 others, the one by the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, and a second by Takeda. And as I was going to say as a preliminary to my conversation, I got this white hair the old-fashioned way, which is I was born in India in 1930 and first came to this part of the world as a physician in 1957, and I've been working on vaccines literally nonstop since then. In 2001, with funds from the Rockefeller and Gates Foundation, I founded something called the Pediatric Dengue Vaccine Initiative, which was headquartered in the International Vaccine Institute in Korea. And for all those years, from 2001 on, I organized annual meetings where I invited Sanofi and all the different vaccine manufacturers. So I've been watching the Dengvaxia come from an idea all the way through to a fully realized product. So that's why I'm wearing these glasses, because these glasses enable me to see things that other people can't see. So it's very useful to have magic glasses. But yeah, so I've been working on vaccines for a very long time, and not only from the standpoint of my own research, because I actually started doing research on vaccine in my lab in 1970s, but as you might say, a senior scientist and a meeting organizer. So that's the reason why I can say, yes, there are other vaccines. They all are organized slightly differently. They all behave differently. But I do believe there is a good vaccine, one that we would all respect, a single dose, multiple protective vaccine that is in existence.
You said there are other vaccines. Is that the one in Japan that's being developed and the one in America? Is that?
Yeah, Takeda is developing another chimera. The chimera is, the splicing of 2 different viruses, and their virus splices between dengue 2 and the dengue. As you know, there are 4 different dengue viruses, and so they have a dengue 2.1, 2.3, and 2.4.
Yes.
And that vaccine was developed at the Centers for Disease Control in the United States and then licensed for a fairly long process to ultimately to Takeda, and is nearing the end of phase 3 testing now in a number of countries. And then in addition to that, there's a vaccine that's been developed intramurally at the National Institutes of Health, just down the street from where I live. And that vaccine is different from these 2, the Sanofi and the Takeda vaccine, in that each of the viruses, dengue viruses, they have removed some of the genome at what we call the non-translated end of the genome. And somebody discovered, 15 or 20 years ago that if you removed a few nucleotides and then put the virus back in a cell, that it grew poorly. And so they made the assumption that a poor-growing virus would become a vaccine virus, and it wouldn't fully express its pathogenic potential. And that's more or less turned out to be true. They've been doing this for about 20 years. And the thing that characterizes the NIH vaccine is that each of the components, each of the 1, 2, 3, 4, has not only been through laboratory testing, but all the way through human testing. And then they put them all together and tested them again and actually waited for a whole year to challenge. So for NIH vaccine, we actually have, I'm sorry to say, we have better data than we have from the huge phase 3 testing of the Sanofi vaccine, because they've taken people who they know what their serological status is, they vaccinated, they know what their responses is, they waited for a whole year and then revaccinated them with a live dengue virus, just like they would be if they were wandering around in nature. And they found that the vaccinated people really protected. They were really protected, and we could go into great detail if we had more time. But anyhow, that's the story. So there is an existence of what appears to be a good vaccine, not yet available, unfortunately, in the Philippines.
So I hope I understood all the science.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I take my glasses off.
That's all right. That's all right.
Too technically.
I would have to bask under your brilliance. Meaning to say, you said at the latter part of your presentation that there is indeed a developed vaccine, but that vaccine also took into account the fact that they had blood samples taken before they introduced the vaccine, so they knew that that was the vaccine suited for that type of dengue. Would that be a correct understanding on my part?
Correct. In fact, ironically, if you will, all of the subjects that were vaccinated with the vaccine that I'm just discussing and then challenged were in fact seronegative. So these are all Americans who don't live in dengue endemic areas. Now they've also tested this vaccine in people like people who would be living in the Philippines who are dengue immune. But the specific experiment that I'm telling you about was done in seronegative young adult Americans.
And would you say, sir, that in the particular instance in the Philippines, where we have now been exposed to mass vaccination, would you say, therefore, that the due diligence that should have been required should have been a blood sample test before the vaccine was administered? Because you might be administering something of a different type of dengue, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the Philippines, I understand dengue 2 is the one that is prevalent. That would have no impact, that could even have disastrous and more vicious results. So that the proper diligence that should have been required was to take a blood test, a blood sample. Would that be correct, sir?
Yes, as you can see, because I've been listening to Sanofi every year for 15 years, in the summer of 2015, when the 3-year review of Sanofi results was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and when I read that the 2 to 5-year-old children were hospitalized at a higher rate than the controls, if I'd been here, you would have seen me. I fell off my chair. I just had no prior data or reason to expect a result of that kind. That led me, I was busy doing some other things, so 4 or 5 months later, I sat down and wrote a paper published in Vaccine, in which I pointed out that the assumption that had been made in the New England Journal article New England Journal of Medicine article, which was, the 2 to 5-year-olds are showing this unusual susceptibility to challenge. But if you move the age group up to age 9, that susceptibility disappears. But the whole point of my article I published in Vaccine in early 2016 was to say that just isn't biologically plausible. 2 to 5-year-old and 9-year-old children are the same immunological continuum. They're not in two different categories. So it seemed very logical that the reason why the 2 to 5-year-old children were being hospitalized at a high rate is because the rate of susceptibility, that is seronegativity, in that age group was very high. Whereas as you get older and older and older, you get more and more prevalence of immunity. So the whole point of that paper was to point out that this vaccine very likely was sensitizing seronegatives so that when they experienced their first dengue infection, they were more sick. That's why I wear these glasses. These are the glasses I can see.
And you're referring, sir, excuse me, to Dengvaxia.
Exactly.
Yes.
In other words, the vaccine is leaving you with antibodies that are non-protective, but they are actually able to change the nature of a subsequent infection.
And of course, the result would be severe dengue.
Correct. But the point I was making was that it biologically could not have been limited to just 2 to 5-year-olds. And therefore, the conclusion of SAGE and the WHO and probably the Philippine Minister of Health and everybody else, which is that Sanofi's allegation that 9 years was a safe year because there was some intrinsic difference between 9-year-olds and younger children just simply didn't fit the biology of the human species. That's just not the way it works. So that's why in that paper I made the suggestion that before the Dengvaxia is given to anybody, there should be a blood test so that the people who are seronegative can be excluded, and the people who are seropositive who are benefited, there is a benefit to the Sanofi vaccine, that they could be identified and vaccinated. And everybody said, ha, 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 nobody's ever done that before, that's impossible. But I'm sorry, it's not ha, 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 it's not impossible. We have tests that are made and used by millions of people all over the world, and it's a different requirement. That's what this vaccine required, was to have a pre-test screen so that the vaccine can be directed at people who benefited.
To Secretary Duque. If you were Secretary of Health at that time, would you have been aware that there's a test prior to introduction of inoculation of Dengvaxia to make sure that the child was not seronegative?
I was made aware only lately, though, Mr. Chairman, of a test that could more or less differentiate between the seronegatives and the seropositives. But I had some problems with I think the issue of sensitivity and specificity, because I understand, I hope I'm recollecting this correctly, that the test is not very specific in the sense that it could catch other cross-reacting antibodies to other flaviviruses. So it's not a very exact test tool.
Being the scientist that you are, and I refer to you as a scientist because you're a doctor, and doctors are scientists to a certain extent. They go by the facts, like lawyers, they go by the facts of the case that confronts them, and they have to make a conclusion. You would have taken the necessary diligence required to find out whether there is such a test, for example, like an ELISA test. Would that have been available at the time, Dr. Rubiel? Dr. Duque?
I think that was available. The ELISA test is actually, that's been a test available since the 70s or 80s, Mr. Chairman. But having said that, I think it would have been best to approach this whole issue with, as you have said, due diligence and caution and prudence.
So, I think we're all, both agreed here, and I think from the statement made by our Dr. Halsted, that the proper diligence, in fact, I would have done extraordinary diligence. I would have gone on, not just due diligence. Meaning to say that find out whether there are tests, one, find out whether the kids can handle the vaccination. And two, if those tests are available, if we are going to go ahead and do it, then those tests should have been demanded before Saturday. Or for that matter, maybe this was just totally experimental. That the conclusion was made before the experiments were totally concluded. In fact, we know that they had not finished phase 3 at the time. Is that correct? Dr. Biel?
Yes, sir, that's correct. 3B was still ongoing at the time the vaccination was introduced.
And there lies a difference because in the case of Singapore and in Malaysia, and I have a slide here. In the case of Singapore and Malaysia, Singapore, hindi pinrescribe ito for mass immunization. They allowed prescription guided by the doctor inoculation. Is that correct, sir? Dr. Duque? And Malaysia did the same thing. In fact, they said, may I have the projector, please? Can you bring down this, the screen, please? There. In 2015, in the case of Malaysia, they demanded completion of the phase of the test. So upon completion of Dengvaxia's phase 3 clinical trials, the Deputy Health Minister, Datuk Seri Hilma Yaya, announced that the vaccine will be made free for the public by mid-2015. But the decision was reversed. They reversed the decision. Hindi pinayagan. Several months later. This is due to the fact that the overall vaccine efficacy at 60% was not convincing for larger scale usage. Besides, Dengvaxia was shown to be not as effective against the most current prevalent serotype in Malaysia, dengue vaccine 2, which is the same as in the Philippines, would you say? Is that correct? Yes. Now, having said that, from April 2017, Dengvaxia will have to undergo phase 4. Malaysia says we have to go to phase 4. Testing in Malaysia. Malaysia's National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency's Drug Control Authority, which conditionally approved the vaccine, said in a notice that if the study fails to verify the clinical benefit or are not conducted with due diligence, DCA may withdraw Dengvaxia's registration. Would you say that that's the proper diligence that should have been undertaken in the Philippines?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
So, Secretary Duque, the government failed to exercise the proper diligence.
Yes, I would say so.
All right. Yes, Dr. Liachot?
Sir, in the case of Singapore, in its publication October 2016, they already confirmed that the postulated risk of higher incidence of severe dengue following vaccination may actually be already submitted by Sanofi, but was not considered or disclosed to the Philippines because that's just about 10 months. And in the lower house, I think the FDA Director General concurred with my observation that Singapore not only took the due diligence but the extraordinary diligence, considering the studies of Professor Halstead and the other specialists. So they actually did this. The first one is that it should not be given in patients who are seronegative. Number two, they should be prescription-based, not in the national vaccination. And they did not start at 9 years old, but started at 12 years old. And in their publication of December 2017, after the 29 Global Advisory of Sanofi, they just confirmed what they actually did in October of 2016. So my main question, why the Philippine FDA did not consider extraordinary diligence when you submit a regulatory blueprint, it should actually be for the whole region, considering most of the studies actually conducted in these areas, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and the Philippines.
And Malaysia. So that
Malaysia.
means, nagpadalos-dalos tayo. Now, in the case of Dr. Halstead, sir, do you believe that Sanofi was aware of your studies?
Well, you recall I wrote an article and published it in Vaccine it was online in January and in print in March. That elicited a response from Sanofi, a published response, so the answer is yes. No, they read my article and they responded to it in print, so there is...
They nonetheless more or less ignored your article?
No, they wrote an article, they wrote a rebuttal, and they published it. And then I rebutted their rebuttal. They said they didn't think there was enough data. They felt the contention of Sanofi all the way along is that there are more people who are benefited than hurt.
And yet later you said, haha, because Sanofi in 2016, November to be precise, said,
Exactly.
we cannot give it to people who are
Exactly.
seronegative.
Yeah, right.
Haha,
Yeah, because...
quote unquote.
Boy, you have memory like an elephant.
I'm sorry, I mean, I'm a bit perturbed by such recklessness on the part of our own government.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I understand very clearly.
Well, look, all the way along until they publish the data, until the press release, the stance of Sanofi has been that it's okay that we're doing, basically the vaccine is okay. There have been a dozen articles written on the same vein that there's public health benefit. But somewhere over the months that intervened and without any message, Sanofi began to retest the sera from the 35,000 children who were vaccinated. They use a test system that I explicitly suggested in because I've had dialogue with Sanofi now for a couple of years. I write a paper and they write a rebuttal and I say, look, we don't need to argue about this. What you need to do is take a test and then you can separate people, because my contention was that the vaccine was safe for seropositives but was dangerous for seronegatives. And you can discriminate between dengue seropositivity or dengue seronegativity by an ELISA test. So the very test that I suggested is the one that Sanofi actually adopted, and the November 29th press release was describing the results of applying that test to about 5,000 sera that they had stored. I don't know whether you want to go into details, but the point is that it was a perfectly logical test that they actually developed and used. And that test then allowed them to separate the children who had been vaccinated into those who at the time of vaccination were seronegative versus who were seropositive. There were about 20% of the entire population that was seronegative. And it turns out that almost all the hospitalizations occurred in the children who were seronegative and vaccinated, which is more or less what I had been contending from the beginning. So that's the basis of the November 29th press release.
Well, if I said haha, it's only because I feel that this is the forever debate, so to speak, among scientists. Everybody tries to haha one another. Only in this particular case, my impression is that from the very beginning, you were trying to be helpful to Sanofi.
Right.
That they should really test more in terms of the seronegative ones.
I was. You're exactly right. I really thought that I was making a constructive suggestion and that would help to promote this vaccine and help it to be used safely.
And Sanofi, in spite of some of its transgressions in other countries, and this happens to all drug companies, I understand, in their zeal to produce a drug, they put in a lot of money. They tend to, I wouldn't say be reckless, but they tend to try and get governments to agree with them without really listening to all the experts.
The reason why I sort of mentioned this very long relationship I've had as sort of the host of meetings and watching Sanofi is that this has been a very long process, and it's done by very well-intentioned people, very intelligent people, people who, there's nobody in Sanofi that wanted to harm anybody. It's just that they are dealing with a new microorganism that has an immune response that they didn't understand and we didn't fully understand. I mean, that's what I do. I've been studying this phenomenon. So, we were all sort of blind, but suddenly the blinders came off and you could begin to see, we better be careful here. And so there's a lot of goodwill everywhere. I'm sure the Philippine Minister of Health was filled with goodwill. The World Health Organization paid for a model. An awful lot of modeling has been done rather than the real honest-to-God epidemiology. And that model involved vaccinating 9-year-olds, 80% of 9-year-olds, and the prediction was that would result in 20% reduction in overall dengue incidence in a country. Now, I'm sure that the people in the Philippine Ministry of Health read that model. 9-year-olds, 80% of 9-year-olds. But, the problem is that that's a model. That's not real life. And what about the 20% that, that are seronegative, and what's happening to them? So.
Well, let me disabuse everybody's mind here. I'm not anti-Sanofi. I think Sanofi has done a lot of good medicine as well. And all drug companies try to do that. I only say sometimes when push comes to shove, when there's overcapitalization and there's pressure from the stockholders, there's always pressure upon the scientists as well. And I'm only sorry they did not listen to you, but I'm sure it was not their intention to harm anybody. But as the Hippocratic Oath suggests, first, do no harm. And that should have been a signal to everyone that there must be extraordinary diligence. I use that, or due diligence, most people use that, before they use the drug on a mass immunization basis. Would you say that we were wrong by coming out? Or let me rephrase that. I think we were wrong by going on mass immunization. The other scientists here think we were wrong on going on mass immunization. Would you say that was kind of reckless as well?
Well,
you don't have to answer it.
Well,
you don't have to answer it.
I made a video, as you recall. I mean, I was quite astonished and quite upset that this mass immunization was going forward. So
you were upset that mass immunization is going forward.
Yes, I was.
And I agree with you, sir. Thank you for your candidness. In fact, I read your articles. This is the first time we met. I wanted to meet you last time before I came in here. But in fairness to Sanofi, I've said this many times. Sanofi wants to come out with a new vaccine. Unfortunately, our government was also in a hurry, probably because there was an election season coming up, probably because of other reasons known only to themselves. it has proven rather drastically, and if you were going to stay a little longer, perhaps some of the mothers have been here and they have been beside themselves, weeping, emotionally, totally destroyed by loss of their children. So, from the studies of everyone, dengue can have severe dengue. And severe dengue has to be properly treated, whether Dengvaxia has been introduced or whether it has not been introduced. It has to be treated by good medicine. Isn't that correct, Doctor? The doctor's here. Isn't that correct? It is, right? But when the parents don't know what is going to hit them when they got Dengvaxia, that puts them in a very, very unfair position. Talo ang pasyente. Tagalogin ko para maintindihan. Ang dengue, makakasakit, magiging severe, kay may Dengvaxia o wala, pag napabayaan. Kung hindi dinala sa ospital kagad, maaaring makamatay o maaaring gumastos tayo ng malaki sa ospital dahil hinahabol natin yung buhay ng mahal natin sa buhay. But upon the other hand, ang mali naman dito ng gobyerno natin at to a certain extent, no, to a full extent, na dapat may responsibilidad ang Sanofi at ang gobyerno na suriin maigi bago ibigay ng mass immunization na lahat sa halos 1 milyon na Pilipinong bata itong gamot na ito ay nadihado yung mga tao natin na hindi nila alam na kung sila ay seronegative, tatamaan sila. At kung hindi sila properly, hindi sila nasabihan ng maayos, mamamatay yung bata. Nakala nila lagnat. Masakit na ang ulo. Tama ba yan? Is that a correct assessment, Secretary Duque?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, certainly, but it's not automatic that just because they receive a seronegative had been vaccinated with Dengvaxia and then gets the dengue, doesn't mean that's equal to death. So it depends at what stage the patient is attended to. If it's severe signs of dengue shock syndrome, as we have in our records, about the UP analysis of the deaths were directly due to dengue shock syndrome. But of course, two things that they had posited. One was perhaps on account of vaccine failure, that it didn't give the protection that was expected of it, and that the other one, it may have been the antibody-dependent enhancement.
Vaccine failure?
Yeah, it's possible.
Or is it vaccine-enhanced AED?
Well,
Whatever it is.
the studies, the analysis
ADB.
point to a possible two
ADE.
of this. ADE, antibody-dependent enhancement. That is what Scott Halstead has been working on for several decades. And of course, the other hypothesis is it could be due to vaccine failure.
Now, before we go on, I want everybody here in this room, and to all doctors, to all scientists, and to the entire country to look at the statement by World Health Organization on the responsibility. Can you show that, please? On patient's rights. That is my point. Walang laban yung tao. Inineksyonan nyo, okay na ako sa dengue. Biglang nagkasakit, sumakit ang ulan, lagnat lang yan. Hindi naman nila alam na seronegative yung bata biglang, lagnat lang yan. Sige, ayaw mo na muna. Alampasin muna 2 araw. Am I creating the right scenario? Yun ang senaryo Na-ineksyonan, comfortable ako. May ineksyon ako sa dengue. He gets sick, and the parent says, may sakit, lagnat lang yan. Kung alam nila na seronegative yung sinaksak sa kanila, na sila ay seronegative, itatakbo na dapat sa ospital. Hindi nila alam Hindi nasabihan yung mga magulang, so tatagal. So whether it's Dengvaxia that killed the children or not. It is the lack of information to the parents that practically killed many children. I don't have to say it's Dengvaxia that caused it. It is the fact that, ito nga sinasabi ng husgado, the court reiterates its recognition of the vital role the medical profession plays in the lives of the people. Sinasabi ng husgado natin sa maraming kaso na nire-recognize natin ang napaka-importanting pakay ng mga doktor at mga scientifico and the state's compelling interest to enact measures to protect the public from potentially deadly effects of incompetence and ignorance in those who would undertake to treat our bodies and minds for disease or trauma. Maraming desisyon ang mga korte na sinasabi yan. Kaya yun ang sinasabi ko, doon sa sinasabi kong napakita natin dito. Makikita natin dito, ayan, sa patient's rights, and I will just read the pertinent provision. Formalized in 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes the inherent dignity and the equal and unalienable rights of all members of the human family. And it is on the basis of this concept of the person and the fundamental dignity and equality of all human beings that the notion of patient rights was developed. In other words, what is owed to the patient as a human being by physicians and by the state took shape in large parts thanks to this understanding of the basic rights of the person. The informative model, going to another part, by contrast, sees the patient as a consumer who is in the best position to judge what is in her own interest and thus views the doctor as simply a provider of information. There continues to be enormous debate about how best to conceive of this relationship. But there is also growing international consensus that all patients have a fundamental right to privacy, to the confidentiality of their medical information, to consent to or refuse treatment, and to be informed about relevant risks to them of medical procedures. Karapatan ng mga pasyente, ng mga tinuturukan, na bigyan kayo ng sapat na impormasyon na excuse me. Nakita ko lang, naiiyak eh. Isang magulang. Karapatan ng magulang to consent or to refuse. Ayaw ko o gusto ko doon sa treatment. Ang karapatan ng isang magulang na sabihin sa kanila kung ano ang peligroso sa ibibigay sa kanila ng medical procedures. Dito, nagkulang ang gobyerno. Dito, nagkulang. Kaya sabihin nila, Sanofi had the best of intentions, but in the implementation of these people, a lot of people got sick violently and even died because they were not provided the right information by Sanofi, by the government, by the people who are supposed to handle this. And now, kailangan habulin natin yan. I hope naintindihan ng mga nanonood dyan sapagkat kailangan ipakita yan at malaman ng lahat ng practitioner. Hindi, tatamaan tayo palagi ng natin yan. A fundamental right to privacy, the confidentiality of their medical information, to consent to pumayag o tanggihan ang treatment and to be informed about the relevant risks to them of medical procedure. That is why, sinasabi ko, magpabakuna kayo doon sa napag-aralan na, sa measles, sa polio, sa lahat ng binibigay ng gobyerno. Pero sa Dengvaxia, teka muna, huwag muna, hanggang malaman natin ang punot dulo. And the expert today already blew the whistle to us, not blew the whistle, it's a wrong word. Di naman pa. Blew his advice. The expert blew his advice to Sanofi, and Sanofi debated with them, and later on, in the following year, or within the same year, found out, tama pala yung sinasabi na hindi dapat ibigay sa seronegative. Huli na. Huli na. So, let me just go to Dr. Tony Dance. Dr. Tony Dance, you also gave advice to the Department of Health, right? Kayo with Dr. Liachon, and who else? Dr.
Yes.
Inday
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Mary Ann Lansang, Dr. Inday Dans,
and Marian Lansang, Dr. Lansang. You gave advice to the government
and
to
others.
tarry a little, right? And like Dr. Houston, it was, I don't want to use the word, voice crying out in the wilderness. Pero hindi pinakinggan. Now, can you tell us kung bakit kayo sinasabi nyo sa ating mga eksperto ng Department of Health of that time na nagmamadali?
Your Honor,
Ang panahon na yan.
may I present some slides
Please.
on the data, Your Honor?
Please. So I think the lesson, I hope Secretary Duque, we shall try to make amends very, very quickly. I understand na pumapayag na ang DBM na gamitin yung pinalit na pera ng Sanofi para matulungan ang mga magulang at mga pasyente na nakakasakit ngayon.
Tama po kayo, pero ang gusto po namin sa DOH ay ang pahintulot ng Congress, ng Senado at ng House para sigurado ho tayo na wala ho tayong nilalabag na mga panuntunan o batas.
Wala akong problema sa inyo eh. Dahil alam ko, dahil ako nasa Red Cross ako eh. Nag-uusap tayo, nag-meeting tayo eh. Even beyond this, pinag-uusapan natin kung paano natin matutulungan. Hindi lang yung diskusyon nyo sa kala Attorney Acosta, hindi lang yung ngunit kung paano natin matutulungan yung mga pasyente. At alam ko rin na kayo umiikot sa mga ospital. Hindi ba? Sina-check nyo ngayon.
Tama po kayo, Mr.
And
Chair.
talking to individual patients, right? At saka lahat ng management guidelines for dengue, inyong ginagawa para sa mga vaccines. Tama ko ba yan?
Tama po kayo.
Madali ba yung trabaho nyo?
Mahirap po, pero kailangan pong gawin wala po kaming humpay na ipagpatuloy itong ginagawa.
Otherwise, pumapasok kasi sa Department of Health ng araw ko, hindi na yan. Sige na, bilisan nyo na yan. Ngayon ang ginagawa nyo, i-overhaul nyo yung Department of Health na dapat pag-ingitan lahat. Pag-ingatan lahat. Hindi tayo padalos-dalos. Lahat ng mga pasyente pupunta sa ospital dapat asikasuhin. At hindi pagtatawanan.
Yes, sir. Certainly, sir.
Go ahead, Dr. Dennis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, gusto ko sana simulan by declaring my conflicts of interest. Kasi tingin ko, tuwing mag-witness kami o magpe-present ng scientific data, kailangan pinipresent namin yung aming conflict of interest. So ito po yung akin. I'm conducting a trial on a vaccine against flu given to patients with heart disease to prevent cardiovascular disease in the future. Yung bakuna hong ginaaral namin is produced by Sanofi Pasteur, but the study is not funded by Sanofi. We're funded by Wellcome Trust in the UK. Wala naman po. It's just to be transparent po.
But I commend you for being transparent. Yan ang dapat natin sabihin. Sila Dr. Hardigan ko, nagtatrabaho sa Swilly as a foundation na nag-distribute dito. Dapat sasabihin yun. Yung ibang mga eksperto na humarap dyan, binibigyan rin sila ng mga pondo ng Sanofi para mag-explika ng mga gamot. Wala pang bawal sa batas dyan. Pero dapat pag-ingatan at dapat sasabihin, the right to be informed includes that the doctor must say, kasama ako ng Sanofi na nag-aaral dyan para magkakaroon ng informed consent on informed decision ang pasyente. Go ahead, please.
So, I do not own stocks in Sanofi. I've never lectured for them, received gifts, favors, or honoraria in any form. So, ito po yung pinagsimulan sa tingin namin yung nagkaroon ng product update sa isang press release na inamin na finally ng Sanofi na for those previously infected by dengue virus, the analysis found, or for those not previously infected, the analysis found in the long term, more cases of severe disease could occur following vaccination. Sa amin ho, ang striking po sa announcement na ito, hindi yan, kundi ito, that there's a new analysis. Sa tingin namin, hindi kinailangan yung new analysis dahil dun lang sa old data, meron na pong mga datos na nagpapakita na merong adverse antibody-dependent enhancement na sanhi ng bakuna. So ito yung apat na gusto naming sabihin. No? Una, meron ng ebidensya dati na dapat hindi bakunahan ng seronegative. Pangalawa, yung phase 3 trial, hindi pa po yan tapos. Papakita ho ako ng patibay na ganun nga. At pangatlo, the evidence, dapat sinama yan nung ginawa natin yung local economic analysis. Kundi sana, nag-iba sana yung ating mga conclusion tungkol sa paggamit ng bakunang to. Sorry. And then number 4, gusto namin pakita ng ebidensya that WHO should not have recommended the vaccine kahit na sa mga lugar na mataas ang prevalence ng seropositive. So, ano po ba yung antibody-dependent enhancement? Anong ibig sabihin nung kanilang press release? Ibig sabihin, may dalawang klaseng bata. Yung mga seronegative na wala pang dengue dati at yung seropositive na may dengue na dati. Kung binakunahan mo yung seronegative, pag nakagat sila ng lamok in the future, magkakaroon sila, mataas ang posibilidad na magkaroon silang severe dengue. Pag binakunahan mo yung mga may antibody na, ibig sabihin nagka-dengue na sila dati at nakagat sila ng lamok, okay lang yun kasi mas madalang na magkaroon sila ng severe dengue. So yan yung announcement nila. Meron ba silang kaalaman para sabihin to noon pa, nung pasimula? No?
Sino sila?
Ang Sanofi.
Sanofi.
Sa tingin namin meron na. In fact, yung objective nung kanilang publication nung September 2015, na yan ang objective. To evaluate a potential predisposition in vaccinated persons to increased severity of disease. So alam na nila na may posibilidad yan. Ngayon, ano bang nakita? So sa tingin namin, merong 4 signs na merong antibody-dependent enhancement na sanhi ng bakuna. Una, makikita natin na bababa ang severe dengue mga 1 to 2 years after kasi protektado tayo because of the vaccine. Kaya lang later, pag nakagot ulit yung mga seronegative, makakakita tayo ng severe dengue. At unang makikita natin to sa mga bata. Bakit sa mga bata? Kasi mas marami sa kanila ang seronegative. Pangatlo, yung rise in severe dengue, hahabol na rin yung mga matatanda. Kasi after a while, makakagat din yung mga seronegative at pwede nating makita yung severe dengue in all age groups, not just the young. And finally, yung rise in severe dengue, pwede itong matuloy hanggang tumanda. Kasi kung nakagat ka ng lamok at 50, pwedeng dun ka magkaroon ng severe dengue.
So sa makatwid, pag nasaksakan ka ng dengue, ng Dengvaxia, ito ang mga maaaring mangyari.
Ito ang pwede nating makita doon sa kanilang study na evidence na meron ngang antibody-dependent enhancement.
Pakitiwanan lang yung antibody-dependent because tayo nagkakaintindihan dyan eh.
So ito po yun. Basically, and as simple as I can say it, pag binakunahan mo yung wala pang antibody at nakagat sila ng lamok,
Yung vaccine, tinuturukan mo siya ng antibody. Yun ang panlaban ng katawan sa virus. Diba?
tinuturukan nyo siya ng virus. At yung katawan ang gagawa ng antibody.
Lalaban.
Opo. So, basically, pag meron ka ng antibody dati at naturukan ka, okay lang makagat ng lamok, protektado ka. Pero kung seronegative ka, mas malaki ang posibilidad na magkaroon ka ng severe dengue.
Pag seronegative, wala ka pang
Dapat wag.
dengue dati.
Yun naman ang sabi ng Sanofi sa announcement nila. So, it's good because we're finally agreeing. Ang problema,
announcement, yung huling announcement.
yung huling announcement.
Huling announcement na binawi nila.
Ang kine-question namin, talaga bang new data ang kailangan o alam na ba natin to dati? So ito po yung apat na proof and I want to go through them one by one. Ito ho yung study na CYD14 na ginawa sa Asia kasama ang mga Pilipino, Thai, Indonesians, Malaysians at saka mga Vietnamese. No? 6,000 ho binigyan ng bakuna at 3,000 hindi binigyan ng bakuna. Bago natin maintindihan yung study, maganda sana aralin natin. Konting math lang po sa pahintulot nyo, Your Honor. Kasi kailangan po to. How do researchers tell if a drug works? Paano namin alam na maganda ang gamot? Ito lang ho ang gusto kong sabihin na i-explain. Ang ginagamit po namin, isang figure na ang tawag namin relative risk. Ang relative risk, ano yan? Ano ba ang posibilidad na magkasakit ang mga pasyente na binigyan ng gamot? Tapos, divided by, ano ba yung posibilidad na yung mga hindi ginamot magkaroon ng disease? Gusto natin kasi mas konti ito. Mas konti ang disease sa mga treated patients. At mas marami doon sa untreated patients. So, halimbawa, gumawa tayong trial, 10 bata, hindi binigyan ng gamot. Tapos, 10 bata, binigyan ng gamot. Tapos, sundan natin sila for 2 years. Doon sa hindi binigyan ng gamot, 2 out of 10 ang nagkasakit. Doon naman sa binigyan ng gamot, 1 out of 10. Ibig sabihin, bumaba. Yung risk from 2 out of 10 naging 1 over 10, nangalahati. Yan po ang relative risk. Similarly, pwede rin na gumawa kang trial, 10 bata, binigyan ng gamot, 2 ang nagkasakit. Nung sinundan mo yung mga ginamot, dumami. From 2 over 10, naging 4 over 10. Dumoble. So yan ang relative risk. Pagka ang relative risk, more than 1, ayaw na ayaw ng researcher na makita yan. Kasi ibig sabihin na merong peligro sa pagbigay ng gamot. Ang gusto namin lagi, ang relative risk, less than 1. Ibig sabihin, mas maraming nagkakasakit pag hindi binigyan ng gamot. Merong isa pa, halimbawa, 2 over 10 and 2 over 10, hindi nagbago. Ang relative risk niyan, 1 lang. So, walang B-side yung gamot. So, with that, intindihin ho natin yung resulta ng mga trial. So, yung trial, ilang libong pasyente yung binakunahan at ilang libo rin yung hindi binakunahan para ikumpara. Hindi natin alam kung sino-sino yan kasi magkamukha yung bakuna, yung iba tubig lang ang binigay. Doon sa mga hindi binakunahan, 20 out of 3,000 ang nagkaroon ng severe dengue doon sa first 2 years. Nang bakit binakunahan, naging 8 out of 6,800. Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Kung gumamit lang tayo ng calculator, makikita natin, ito, ibig sabihin 6 kada 1,000 bata, 6 ang magkaka-severe dengue kung walang bakuna. Kung binakunahan, magiging 1 kada 1,000. So, malaki ang binaba. Ang relative risk niyan, 0.2, napakababa, napaka-effective ng drug. So, yung first requirement, andyan ho yan. Year 1 over 1 to 2, beneficial yung gamot. Relative risk is 0.2. Ngayon, palitan natin. Kasi sabi natin, after many years, imbis na 2 years, gawin natin on the 3rd year. Imbis na all age groups, kasi sabi natin, sa mas bata makikita, sabihin natin less than 5. Ito po yung resulta. 800 children less than 5, not vaccinated, isa po ang nagka-severe dengue. 1,600 children vaccinated, 15 ho ang nagka-dengue. Kung calculator, balik tayo, 12 kada 1,000, naging 92 kada 1,000 sa less than 5. Dumami po ang relative risk 7. Ibig sabihin yung posibilidad ng severe dengue, tumaas 7 times. No? Tapos tingnan natin, ito, hindi ito ni-report. Ginawa namin sa, hinalungkat namin sa analysis nila. What about yung less than 9? Hindi, kanina less than 5 lang. Tingnan natin yung less than 9. Ito, kataka-taka dun sa papel kasi sa study nila, ang nakalagay 0 over 6 at saka 8 over 19. Sabi namin, ibig sabihin, 25 children lang ang less than 9 years old. Mali po yun. Ang dapat na denominator, 0 out of 1,700 at 8 over 3, 4, 9, 3,000 children who were vaccinated. Hinalungkot po namin yan para makita. Itong 6 at 19 na to, saan ba to nanggaling? Yan po mga na-ospital na bata sa hindi na bakunahan, na-ospital na bata sa hindi na bakunahan. Alam naman natin na yung relative risk dapat ang denominator ilan ba ang batang binakunahan at ilan ang hindi. So, back to our calculator, magiging 0 over 1,000 yan. Ito, 23 over 1,000. At ito isang katakalaka. Sabi doon sa paper nila, hindi mo makalculate yung relative risk. 23 over 0, pag nilagay mo sa calculator, lalabas yung maraming letter E kasi hindi niya kaya ang 23 over 0. Napakasimple unang solusyon dyan. Ang tawag namin, imputation. Imbis na 0, gawin mo 0.5. Sa Tagalog, pulgada. No, huwag na natin sabihin wala. Sabihin na natin may konting nangyari para lang hindi maging divided by 0. So, nung ginawa namin yan, 0.5 over 1,700. Ang not vaccinated, ang risk niya na 3 kada 1,000 ang magkakasevere dengue. Magiging 23 pag binakunahan. Hindi na yan not calculable. Magiging 8-fold rise in severe dengue in children less than 9. So ito po, nakatago eh. So kinailangan namin halongkatin ng datos doon sa mga publication. So may dalawa tayong sign sa number 2. A rise in severe dengue first seen among the young. Pag less than 5, 7-fold increase. Pag less than 9, 8-fold increase. Diyan ho kami takot na takot as researchers makakita ng ganyang relative risk na napakataas. Eh yung 2 nga, takot na kami. Eh yun pang 7 at saka 8. Pangatlo, makikita na natin later na hindi lang sa bata, kundi sa lahat ng bata regardless of age. So tingnan natin ang datos niyan. Imbis na less than 9 or less than 5, gawin natin any age group on the 3rd year. Itong nakita naming datos sa appendix, taka na naman kami, bakit 13 and 27 ang dami-daming patients sa study? Ang ginawa nilang denominator, hospitalized patients. Ang tamang denominator, ito, 1 in 3,387, 11 in 6,770, take out your calculators, 3 in 1,000, naging 16 in 1,000, there was a 5-fold increase in severe dengue in the overall study regardless of age. So nandyan na yan, the rise in severe dengue may later be seen in all age groups. In all age groups, there was a 5-fold increase. So tatlo na yan na relative risk, more than 1 na nakakatakot. We might see severe dengue persisting into adult life. Ang tanong namin noon, antayin pa ba natin yun? Meron na tayong 3 out of 4. Huwag na nating antayin tumanda yung mga bata bago malaman na magkakasevere, pwede pa silang magkasevere dengue pagtanda. Gawan na natin ng paraan ngayon. Diniscuss ho namin to sa scientists ng Sanofi. Diniscuss. At medyo galit sila eh. We had 2 meetings with them. Ito sulat nila sa amin, no? Noong, mga August siguro to, no? As a member of the medical community, we are sure that you would not intentionally misrepresent data of an approved and thoroughly reviewed new vaccine. Sinabi pa nila, we must protest against misleading public communications. And with this in mind, we are seeking correction and clarification of several comments in your Facebook page and other public fora. So ito yung mga nag-sign, kinapi-furnish pa ho yung aming dean ng UP College of Medicine, parang sinumbong ho kami. So in frustration, nilabas sabi namin, wag na tayo dun makipag-usap sa kanila. I-elevate na natin to sa scientific community. So gumawa kami ng publication tungkol sa mga datos na pinakita ko. At doon sinabi namin, the findings suggest that the vaccine could be harmful in seronegative children of whatever age. Not just more than 9, not just more than 5. It's potentially harmful whatever their age is. Itong, the rest, Your Honor, saglit lang to. The phase 3 trial was not over. Ito yung publication sa New England Journal of Medicine. Ito, kinat and paste ko. They mentioned the term interim report 6 times. Ibig sabihin ng interim po, hindi pa tapos, ongoing pa. Tapos ito yung kanilang protocol. Graph from their publication again, year 1 to year 6. Merong phase 1, year 1 to year 2. at merong phase 2, yung year 3 to year 6. Pero iisang study yan. At ito, sinabi nila, ito sa akin importante po, the long-term safety analysis, referring to the paper they wrote, are based on data collected during year 3 of 2 phase 3 trials. Ito yung kasama tayo, CYD14. Ibig sabihin, meron pang year 4, year 5, and year 6. Hindi pa tapos. This is just year 3 of 2 phase 3 of the CYD14 trial. At magkakaroon, itutuloy pa nila yung trial na yon. The fourth reason, we believe the trial was not over. And the most important, ito pong pang-apat. The trial was not stopped. Nagtuloy po yung trial. It went on even after FDA approval until November 2017. Kung talaga pong phase 4 na yan, dapat hininto yung phase 3 trial. At sinabi, tapos na ho, gagamitin na ho namin to sa public forum, hihinto na namin yung trial, gagawa na kami ng proper phase 4 trial. Tinuloy nila, hindi alam ng mga bata kung nabakunahan sila o hindi. Hindi man lang inalok sa kanila, gusto nyo ba bang bakunahan ko na kayo? Alamin natin, baka placebo lang yung natanggap nyo, bakunahan na natin kayo. Hindi nangyari yon. So tingin namin, phase 3 trial yan. Yung local analysis on cost effectiveness, dapat sinama niyan yung ADE. Para sa mga tao rito, yung cost effectiveness analysis, ang tanong niyan, sulit ba yung binayad? Ang ginagawa niyan, binibilang nila magkano bang gagastusin natin at magkano maiipon natin, no? Titimbangin nila yan. Ang kasama sa mga gagastusin natin, pagbili ng gamot, pag-manage ng mga side effects. Ang mga maiipon natin, yung mga nabawas na sakit dahil effective at drug. At itong nangyari po dyan, ito po, unpublished paper by Dr. Lam of the Formulary Executive Council. Inassume po nila na walang ADE. So, they explicitly said, we did not account for expenses on management of ADE. Gastos yun eh. Alam natin ngayon, pag nagkasakit yung anak mo, ang dami mong test na gagawin, no? At ma-hospital. So, nabawasan yung gastos. Yung savings naman, nadagdagan kasi they assumed Dengvaxia was effective for 5 years. Yung study, dun sa 3rd year, pawala na yung effect eh. So, nadagdagan yung saving. So, syempre, lumabas na sulit. Sa tingin namin, ito ang major problem. Dapat binilang niya ang gastos for ADE. And last po, just a few slides. WHO should not have recommended the vaccine even in high prevalence areas. Itong sabi nila, dun sa kanilang first announcement. The biologic mechanism behind increased risk is not understood and may be related to naive vaccine serostatus, ibig sabihin seronegative. Or baka yung age, ito yung sinasabi ni Dr. Halstead, na wala namang dahilan na paniwalaan na ito ay age, ito ay serostatus. A significant increase in hospitalizations was not seen in those older than 5. So, other than less than 5, there were no other safety signals. So, hindi nila nakita yung 7-fold increase at yung 8-fold increase. Sa later announcement, sinabi nila, vaccination acts like an asymptomatic natural infection and hence primes seronegative recipients to have secondary infection when they are exposed. So, alam na nila, inamin na nila, baka nga maging severe. Pero sinabi pa rin nila, seroprevalence should be 70% or greater in the age group targeted for vaccination. Ibig sabihin, hindi na bali yung 30%. Minority lang naman sila eh. Basta nakatulong tayo ng 70%. Ang tawag po namin dyan sa epidemiology, senseless average. Katulad ho nitong dalawang businessman na to. Sabi nung isa, the poor are getting poorer. What can we do? That's okay, sabi nung isa. The rich are getting richer, so it all evens out. Ganon din yung Dengvaxia. Parang sinabi, nakakasama pala yan sa mga seronegative. Paano yun? Di bale, nakakatulong naman sa seropositive, so okay lang. So, itanong nyo lang yung magulang eh. Okay ba sa inyong tumanggap ng bakunang ganito? Siguro yung iba magsasabing oo. Pero meron ding magsasabing hindi at tingin namin karapatan dapat nila yan. So yun pong summary namin. alam na natin noon pa that seronegative should not be vaccinated. The phase 3 trial was not over. It was going on through the own admission of the scientists who wrote the paper. This evidence should have been included in their local analysis para nakita natin na hindi sulit ang gamot na to. Gagastos tayong malaki tulad ng nakikita natin ngayon for antibody-dependent enhancement induced by the vaccine. And last, the WHO should not have recommended the vaccine even in high prevalence areas kasi you would be ignoring the risk in a significant number of children. Yun lang po, Your Honor. Maraming salamat po.
Did who actually recommend this?
Well, lagi po nilang dinideny yun. I'm sorry, Dr. Juan. So, ang nakasulat po sa kanilang announcement, we recommend that countries consider. So,
Sorry?
that we recommend that countries consider. I have the publication here. And everyone, so technically, it was not a recommendation. But everyone thought it was a recommendation. We have 10 headlines saying WHO recommends it. It's only WHO who didn't believe it was a recommendation.
Good to disabuse your mind, please.
Thank you for...
We know each other and
Yes, let me try to clarify a little bit the confusion. I think we discussed about that issue already in the previous hearing, but I'm happy to try to clarify that again. There are really two issues here that I would like to address. First is we need to keep in mind the sequencing of events. So we know that we've looked at the timeline on a number of occasions here, and we are aware when the decisions were made in the country on when to purchase the vaccine and when the order was placed. Now, keeping this sequence of events in mind, we received a notification from the Department of Health on the 28th of February 2016 that there's an intention to use the country in the vaccine in the country. And we've replied to this notification on the 16th of March 2016. And we replied to DOH and we said, we take note of your information, but please be aware, we do not have a recommendation on this issue. And we said the SAGE will convene, they will discuss this, and they will formulate a position in July later in the year. So the WHO position that you have quoted indeed came out in July 2016. So that was clearly the program was going on for a long time, and a huge number of people, of children, had already received the vaccine. So there is certainly a sequencing of events, and it's not quite unimportant.
Yeah.
So please let me. So that's the first consideration. So I don't think up to when WHO published its own position, it was clear and known to everybody that there is no position, there was no recommendation, there were no comments. Now the decision in the country here was taken purely on the information that was available in the public domain, which included all publications, including those from the trials, but also from colleagues such as Dr. Halstead and others. So, and it was not based on any type of position from WHO. Now let me just maybe talk a little bit about the second consideration and how you present the WHO recommendation. So WHO in this position paper said that countries should only consider introducing the vaccine in high prevalence areas and looking at a number of different considerations that were set out in this paper, and I have it in front of me and you know it very well, which is very detailed. Now this paper sets out all the observed risks and benefits from the trials, and it also mentions a number of hypotheses and explanations and theories around why we actually saw an increased risk in the younger age period. And this paper explicitly mentioned, and thank you for quoting from this, and of course there are other important passages in the paper. This paper says explicitly, I talk too long? Just one more minute. That they may theoretically, and I quote now, they may theoretically, the vaccine may theoretically even increase the future risk of hospitalized or severe dengue illness in those who are seronegative at the time of first vaccination, regardless of age. If this is the case, even in high transmission settings, there may be increased risk among seronegative persons despite a reduction in dengue illness at the population level. So exactly what you described was exactly put in the paper. So I think it's not about defending here an organization, but we need to also be fair to the group that has made these recommendations. It was all set out, and it was put back to countries to make a local judgment call between benefits and risks. And this is a local decision that WHO is not taking for countries. And this country has, in the face of all the evidence, made a certain decision. Actually, the country made it 6 months prior to this statement, but anyhow, had made the decision and then stick to it. And I think from a WHO perspective, we believe we have set out very well all the different factors that should be taken into consideration, and this has really been then ultimately a local judgment call and local decision. So I hope that clarifies a little bit the multiple references that we've heard here today to WHO.
All right. Rebuttal?
Just, I actually
Very short on
agree
this.
that the WHO recommendation, whether you call it that or not, came after the program was launched. But I think we should look at context. The context at the time that the statement from WHO came was in a setting where we were contesting use of the vaccine. Just a few months into launching. And a WHO recommendation saying it's okay to consider it really was a driving force. I mean, we said we give up, and the DOH will go on because the WHO has spoken. The other thing is, I think, while the WHO repeatedly says that they cannot tell us what to do, that is not the perception of governments. We believe what WHO says. We follow what you say. And what you say has the power of recommendation, whether you like it or not, and however way you phrase a particular statement.
All right. I understand that Dr. Halstead has a 12 o'clock meeting today. So, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to take advantage of the Dr. Halstead is here. Just a few questions, Mr. Chair. Earlier, Dr. Halstead, you mentioned that there are 3 vaccines that are being developed, no, to treat or to prevent dengue. But for you, what do you think would be the most likely, would be the most effective among the 3 that are being developed, effective and safe? Among the 3 that are being developed right now.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Earlier, that you mentioned that there are 3 vaccines being developed for the prevention of dengue.
Right.
So, among the 3 that are being developed that was mentioned, which do you think will be considered as proven and safe?
Well, as I said earlier, the 2 of the vaccines are splices, molecular splices between 2 different viruses, what we call in science a chimera. The yellow fever Sanofi vaccine and the vaccine being developed by Takeda. The 3rd vaccine is the one being developed by the National Institutes of Health, and in this instance, each of the 4 viruses has been individually mutagenized by taking out a small number of molecules and then recombining them. So the end product is a very different. So we have one vaccine is composed of whole live dengue viruses, and the other vaccines are composed of vaccine chimeras, splice vaccines. So far in the human trials that have been conducted, the NIH vaccine has proven to do everything we hoped a vaccine would do, and that is provide strong sterile immunity and protection against viral challenge. Now that vaccine is undergoing phase 3 clinical trial in Brazil only. we expect by the end of 2018 for that phase 3 trial to be complete, after which it may be possible that, for example, Merck Sharp and Dohme has licensed that vaccine. There may be a possibility that that vaccine may be at some point in the future manufactured and available more widely than in Brazil. But that's the current status.
Would you say that the present Dengvaxia vaccine is safe and effective?
Say the what?
The Dengvaxia, the present, since it's the only vaccine available in the market.
The only
would you say it's
vaccine
safe and-
available in the market is Dengvaxia.
Yeah, would you say it's safe and effective?
It's effective in protecting people who've had prior dengue immunity, yes. But it is not.
Those zero positive.
It's not effective in preventing disease in people who are seronegative at the time they're vaccinated.
I'd just like to ask probably just two more questions, just two more issues, Dr. Halstead. Just like that, if the clinical phenomena of viscerotropism and neurotropism, which were attributed by the findings of the public attorney's office and based on their autopsies, is it possible that it can be expected or from those who are given the vaccine of Dengvaxia?
Well, let me say that from everything we know, that the actual vaccine virus, Dengvaxia, does not cause any illness whatsoever. And what we're dealing with dengue is something that's quite unique. It's not absolutely unique because 40 or 50 years ago, the United States marketed a measles vaccine, which was inactivated with formalin and licensed. And what happened there is 2 years after the measles vaccine were given, children acquired measles, but it wasn't just ordinary measles. It was a very severe measles and a measles that ended in death. And in both the instance of Sanofi and the measles vaccine, it's the immune response to the vaccine that leaves you at risk to a much more severe disease. So we've encountered this phenomenon before, but here this is a much bigger group of people who are exposed. We don't want to have available a vaccine where people inadvertently receive antibodies that are going to be detrimental. Now, there's been a lot of talk since I've been here about viscerotropism and neurotropism. Those terms are applied to yellow fever vaccine. Yellow fever vaccine all by itself, not the one that's spliced by dengue. So yellow fever vaccine, which as you recall was first introduced to the world in 1937 and been given to hundreds of millions of people. That vaccine has two properties. If you give it to young children, the vaccine actually causes encephalitis. So that's the neurotropic aspect of yellow fever vaccine. But if you give it to millions of people, every once in a while, 1 in a million, human beings, adults, people who otherwise are perfectly healthy, get yellow fever. And we don't have any idea why. It's a very strange and mysterious, and there's been a lot of effort made to try to understand what's going on. Now, that reaction, when it occurs, is called viscerotropic. And what our friends Sanofi did some months, a couple of years ago, was to try to test to see whether their chimeric vaccine, the spliced yellow fever dengue vaccine, itself had any viscerotropic or neurotropic properties. So they did a study in Brazil, and they found no, indeed, it does not. So the spliced vaccine is completely attenuated. But remember that it isn't the vaccine that we're talking about here. It's the antibodies to the vaccine. It's what's left over after you've been vaccinated. So It is not appropriate to use the terms viscerotropic or neurotropic in relation to Dengvaxia. The other thing is that there are a lot of autopsies being done now because, of course, unfortunately, children die for one reason or another after vaccine. This is a very old phenomenon. I've been in the vaccine business forever, and there's always problems like this. Please be aware that the diagnosis of Dengvaxia cannot be based on an autopsy. In any child that dies of post-Dengvaxia, there have to be two things. One is unequivocal evidence that the infection was caused by dengue virus. And that can be done either by virus isolation or RNA identification or NS1. But the second one is we need to know whether the vaccine in that particular individual was given when the individual was seronegative or seropositive. And to do that, we need to use the test that Sanofi has developed and that's available in several laboratories. I'm hoping to introduce it into the Philippines, where you're actually detecting antibody against the proteins that are inside viruses, the so-called non-structural proteins, because when you give somebody Dengvaxia, the Dengvaxia particle has the dengue envelope proteins on the outside, but the inside of the particle is yellow fever. So when you give Dengvaxia to somebody, you make antibody to the dengue outside proteins, but not to the dengue inside proteins. And so we have a test now that tells you, do you have antibodies to the inside protein or not? So there is a test that can actually tell whether an individual was given Dengvaxia when they were seronegative or seropositive. Now, everybody is running around saying the vaccine failure. I'm sorry, that's been the problem with WHO. WHO never identified any of these breakthrough cases as serious adverse events. If you're hospitalized, if you've been vaccinated, and then you're hospitalized, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the vaccine. Let's face it. It's not, all the vaccines I've studied my entire life, measles, mumps, rubella, variola, and so on, boy, if you have one or two cases of disease, that's a big deal. So we think a vaccine should be protective. But if you're getting clinical illness and hospitalized after you've been vaccinated, something is wrong. And that is what I call a serious adverse event. But the specific diagnosis of serious adverse event is that somebody was seronegative when they were vaccinated, and their very first dengue infection is causing hospitalization. So that's what we're looking for, and that's the test we want to adopt here in the Philippines. So as your parents go forward, they actually understand whether they're suffering from Dengvaxia as a complication or not. As long as I have the microphone, let me just say that as Dr. Duns, and by the way, Dr. Duns and I are the only people in the whole world who are, other than you, the chairman, I congratulate you for undertaking this investigation. But we don't want to have people feel that vaccines are dangerous. I've been a pro-vaccine person my entire life. I was the founder of Children's Vaccine Initiative. We do not want vaccines to be injured by this. And furthermore, the children that potentially are at risk now or into the future, I hope we can rededicate an effort to get these children into clinical care early, get the clinical team up and running. We had a meeting yesterday with physicians from Thailand and other countries, and there are a lot of things you could do to really improve clinical treatment, so we don't have to have fatal outcome. Parents come in early, physicians understand how to do the fluid management properly. So there are a lot of things I hope, as long as I'm here, that we can all discuss about how can we make the Philippines a safer environment for people that are experiencing dengue. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Halstead.
Just a few more. I have 8 minutes before 12 o'clock. Dr. Halstead, given the present situation already, no, given that Dengvaxia was already inoculated on 830,000 kids, what would you recommend for our Department of Health? What steps should be taken?
Well, I've been talking a lot for a long time. I think a few months ago I was saying, well, I think everybody, all 830,000 children should be tested. I'm a little bit, that sounds like a lot of work. If we could do it magically, it would be nice to be able to say to the, whatever it is, the 10 or 20,000 parents of seronegative children, look, you've got to be very careful and make sure if a child starts off with a fever, you get in fast. But I think at the moment it's just unrealistic to test all 830,000. So all we can do is try to establish a generic process. I had suggested hotlines, and I noticed that you implemented it. I think that's wonderful. I think the parents of vaccinated children should feel that somebody cares, somebody is willing to listen to them, somebody is available. But beyond that, you didn't vaccinate everybody in the whole country, so you've got certain regions, and those regions again should be staffed up. So let's make sure that the children that get dengue in these hot spot areas have the very best clinical care. If we can reduce fatal outcome, that'll be at least a wonderful step forward. As Dr. Don says, unfortunately, this vaccine antibody effect is going to last on and on and on. Hopefully, somebody, and something I'm going to try to push for and work on, is to try to find a booster dose. How can we protect these children? There's got to be a booster dose that we can get, but it has to be different from Sanofi vaccine. Some vaccine that's been tailored specifically to take these children out of being at risk. And I think that's possible. I hope we can find some pharmaceutical company that's willing to undertake it.
Hey, thank you very much, Dr. Halstead. I'd just like to ask Dr. Duque, Secretary Duque, from what Dr. Halstead said, we need massive information, no? So that the children can be given care right away. So what have the DOH done? What have your department has done in the past few weeks or months, no, for this massive information and dengue in the middle of the vaccine fiasco?
Well, Your Honor, we have stepped up insofar as our risk communication strategy is concerned. So we have been stepping up our IEC, especially for our 4S contra dengue. Essentially, it's in a nutshell what the good Dr. Halstead has just mentioned. The early detection and the making sure that vaccinees who present with the symptoms of fever, 39 degrees up to 41 degrees centigrade, 2 days and beyond.
Are there express lanes? There are already express lanes that were established in all
fact,
government
I visited
hospitals?
in 1 week about 10 hospitals. And except for some minor gaps, they're essentially doing the right thing and consistent with the downloaded guidelines on patient care and referral system. So we just need to level up, and the way to test whether the guidelines are actually being translated to on the ground reality of managing the patient can only be done when the DOH really visits all the hospitals one by one, whether it's a national hospital or a LGU, and even private hospitals. And I take this opportunity to inform the body that I have signed a memorandum of agreement with the Philippine Medical Association, the Philippine Hospital Association, the Private Hospital Association of the Philippines, and the Administrators Association of Hospital Administrators sometime early last week, I believe. And they've all agreed that number one, they're going to provide a Dengvaxia express lane, and then number two, that there will be they won't be charging excess of what the PhilHealth ought to reimburse. For severe dengue, it's 16,000 pesos, and for mild dengue, it's 10,000 pesos. And if it might be of interest to you, Your Honors, if you look at the data of PhilHealth in terms of the number of cases, mild dengue cases, as reported by PhilHealth, constitute about 93 to about 96% of all the dengue cases. No? Mild. Ibig sabihin yan, talagang mild lang, and about 2 to 4% would be about severe dengue. And I don't have the data exactly of the severe dengue, how many deaths were reported. But we can look into that. But also suffice it to say that currently the case fatality ratio is less than 1%. It's hovering around between 6.4 to 0.6%. But of course, this is no excuse, Your Honors, because even one death is a big tragedy. It's a tragedy. So this can be prevented for as long as parents are made aware that the advice, the 4S contra dengue, is really taken to heart by our parents. Whether in the context of Dengvaxia or no Dengvaxia, the threat of dengue remains permanent in the lives of our people.
I have one follow-up question, Dr. Duque. Having realized that a lot of patients, a lot of people have been inoculated with Dengvaxia, especially those seronegative. Is there a way we can find out who those seronegative patients are?
Well, the test kit that was mentioned by Dr. Halstead, I understand it's available elsewhere, but insofar as Sanofi is concerned, there's one that's available developed by the University of Pittsburgh, and also the other one, I think, in University of Hawaii. So I've in talks with my counterpart in the PCHRD, headed by Dr. Jaime Montoya, and we're looking at the possibility of technology transfer and how do we do that, and then we ourselves develop it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, Your Honor, because the technology is pretty well established and identified. So we just need to bring it in and then fast track the mass production of this test. That's the only way we can find the needle in the haystack. You have 837,000 vaccinees, and you want to find out who the seronegatives are. And it's not easy, Your Honor. This is not easy.
Well, nothing is hard, nothing good is easy to get.
That's right. Yes, Your Honor. Just
I just want to point that out. Pumasok tayo dito, dapat lumabas tayo ng maayos. So sinasabi ko lamang, dapat ma-determine natin, an effort must be undertaken na malaman natin kung sino yung seronegative. Get that medicine, whether it's from Pittsburgh or from Hawaii or from Mars, basta get it, because this is a problem that we have to face. I worry about the fourth, statement made by Dr. Dance, that you'll have a lot of people na mayroong sakit na ganito na pagkatanamaan sila, hindi yung lang mamatay. Huwag mamatay, bawal mamatay as far as I'm concerned. Pero yung tama, yung dagok ng hospitalization. yung trauma, yung stress, yung kakaba-kaba yung hahanap ng gamot, lalo na kung mahirap yung tinamaan niyan, maghahanap ng gamot siyan, maghahanap ng tulong. Kaya tama yung sinasabi natin, may nag-uusapan natin yan na dapat proactive tayo. Dapat hinahanap natin yung mga yan sa Region 3, 4, Metro Manila, and parts of Region 7 na oras na may nakasakit ng lagnat, makipagkita na kagad sa health center. Kaya anong klaseng lagnat, basta naturukan kayo, pakita na kayo kagad sa health center, dali na kagad kayo sa ospital. Yun ang sinasabi ni Dr. Halstead, that the moment somebody gets a fever, a headache or something like that, who has been inoculated, whether it's not seronegative or seropositive, we should really make an effort right away na kunin yun at i-check natin kagad para hindi mahihirapan sa gastos at lalong-lalo na hindi sasamain, hindi mamamatay. I think we're clear on that, right? And I'd like to see a program from the Department of Health that we can all support para sa ganun yung mga 830,000 niya naturukan we don't have any estimates who are seronegative. So while we don't have the actual figures, we can have not a hotline, but certainly dissemination on TV, on radio, or whatever means na sabihin na pagka nagkasakit kayo at naturukan kayo, dali na kagad dito. Ito ang point of contact, dali na kagad kayo sa ospital. That is easily done. I don't allow my staff to tell me it is hard. Nothing good is easy to get. You have to really get it. Alright? Having said that, let me just go and do some final sweeps here. I'd like to call Dr. Lee Sui. Before I go to Dr. Lee Sui, I just want to have a question with Thomas over there. What did you find out exactly, apart from the fact that Dr. Halstead has already said, if a guy is seronegative or a child is seronegative, it could be disastrous if you inject them. I mean, I'm exaggerating here a bit. Because if I were the seller of experimental medicine or breakthrough medicine on the other side, I would really have my eyes and ears and my radar, my sonar, everything focused on possible negatives. When did you actually find out that what Dr. Halstead was saying was true?
So there are many elements in this question, so let me answer it. So first of all, let me start by saying that, and I think Dr.
Thomas, I really have a problem with your English.
I'm going to try.
My French isn't that good, you know. So kindly bring the microphone closer to you.
I'm going to try my best,
and
Governor.
Slow down a little bit so that I can understand you, Monsieur. Okay, thank you.
Let's try.
All right.
So
Yes, I'm not trying to I'm not teasing you. I'm just trying to say it's hard for my
no problem.
disciplined ear. Thank you.
No problem. And please tell me to slow further if needed.
Thank you.
So as I was saying, in your question, there are a few elements implied. So let me go through it. So first of all, I'd like to mention that obviously, and I think I've mentioned that many times during the previous hearings, in the development of Dengvaxia, Sanofi Pasteur has worked with all the experts in the world. And obviously that includes Dr. Scott Halstead hereby present, which we probably, Dr. Halstead knows it more than me, probably we have worked with Dr. Halstead for more than the last 20 years. So obviously we have been discussing back and forth with all the worldwide experts around infectious disease, and in the case of Dengvaxia, this includes Dr. Halstead. So to come back to your question, the point of Dr. Halstead, which is the theory of ADE, has been discussed for a very long time, and obviously we have had many back and forth discussions, questions.
The question is simply when.
I'm getting there.
You don't have to go around the world to get to France, you know. When?
So please let me try it. So during all these discussions, we have included the importance of ADE, and we have recognized the importance of ADE theory as something to test in the clinical development plan. So in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, that's what we have looked at for. Okay, and we never found it. Okay, now back to your question. As I mentioned also,
That's the third time you've said that. Right?
as I mentioned multiple times also, even as late as March 2017, when you look at the safety analysis, okay, of seropositive versus seronegative in 9 and above years of age patients, you see that there is no relative risk issue. So we only found out, as mentioned by Dr. Alstead, in 2017, when taking the advice of many people, because we work with everybody, we actually decided, and Dr. Alstead was one of the person proposing that, to actually retest some of the sera using the assay developed with the University of Pittsburgh. And these results, that's called the new analysis findings, are then looked at by the IDMC, so Independent Data Monitoring Committee. And the IDMC, and that's why I'm going to the conclusion, which is the question you asked, the IDMC came to the conclusion of the reporting in November 2017, early November 2017. And that's when we got the result of the IDMC, which is the committee deciding for it, that then we prepared the communication, we engaged with Department of Health, we engage with national regulatory agencies all over the world, and we've made the statement, including WHO of course, and we made the statement at the end of November 2017.
So when? November 17.
So as soon as we got the report from IDMC, independent...
What is IDMC?
That's why I'm insisting on this, because it's the important part of the answer. IDMC is the Independent Data Monitoring Committee, which is...
Within Sanofi?
No, independent, so not Sanofi. So it's experts from all over the world that are reviewing the data, checking it, giving their advice, and we got the IDMC position in November 2017, Your Honor.
But Dr. Halstead mentioned this 2016 or 2015 formally. Formally.
Sanofi wrote a specific written rebuttal published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases. Published in Vaccine.
Vaccine.
That constitutes some kind of acknowledgement. They had a whole bunch of other explanations, but they couldn't claim that the concept of the sensitization of seronegatives was far-fetched. If you read what Dr. Duque and Dr. Jackson wrote, there's a whole separate paper in which they have 3 different hypotheses. One of which is that the vaccine acts as if it was the first dengue infection. The thing that is incomprehensible to me is how you can put that up as a hypothesis, but then never act upon it. Which is precisely what happened. There it is as a hypothesis. All the way along, our friends at WHO keep referring to ADE. The whole phenomenon is hypotheses. But meanwhile, children are being hospitalized.
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
And that's why in 2016 we worked in the University of Pittsburgh, so we acted on it to actually develop a test that could differentiate further between seronegatives and seropositive even after vaccination. And these findings came in early November 2017, Your Honor. So we acted upon
I
it.
don't want to taunt you, but I would like to say that your CEO was here during APEC, and in fact, they met with the President of the Philippines in Paris with Sanofi, and they went on. After that, it went on its merry way very, very fast. And I feel that Sanofi, as much as I respect your company, was really a microwave, was really a supersonic high-performance, engine that was really trying to push the product down our throats. In other words, it was being force-fed upon my country. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. I can show you.
That's not the case, Your Honor, but I understand that's how you feel.
I can show you. You may not agree with it, I can show you, and I will show you in a little while. as I've done it before several times. Now, I understand Dr. Hadley, Dr. Halstead, do you have to go now? If you have time, I can.
Sure, please. Yeah, I'll put
I
my
think-
glasses back on.
All right, good. All right, I'm glad that you're there. So, let me go to Dr. Lee Sui. You are the head honcho or the head man in charge of vaccine, right? Dengue.
These are two different programs, Your Honor.
Educate me.
Yeah. We have the National Dengue Prevention and Control Program, Your Honor.
Who's in charge of that?
At the time this was implemented, I was not the program manager anymore of the Dengue Prevention Control Program.
Up to when were you there?
2014.
2014. President Aquino met with Sanofi on November 9, 2014. Were you still in charge?
No more. I was promoted to Director 3 September 2014. I'm not the program manager anymore, Your Honor.
All right. And after that, what did you occupy? The second position?
I'm the other one, the EPI program, the Expanded Program Organizations under the Financial Office.
We should have included this by then, right?
I'm not handling that office as well, Your Honor.
Why are you saying that?
You were asking a while ago regarding family.
No, what were you in charge with?
But by the time that this was implemented, I was the Director 3 of the Infectious Disease Office and the Environmental and Occupational Health Office, Your Honor.
So who was the one that decided it's a go?
I'm not privy on that, Your Honor, because at that time, my role in this Dengvaxia activity is other than being the Director 3 of the Disease Prevention Control Bureau, I was also the spokesperson of the Department of Health.
Secretary Obial, would you know? Who said, let's go with it?
Sir, I think it was Dr. Mario Baquilod who made the justification why
December
December 10, 2015.
Can you turn off the lights, please? On December 10, turn off the lights. Patayin niyo yung ilaw. Grief. Is that the one? December 11?
Yes, Your Honor, December 11. Stand corrected.
This is what I've been trying to find out. As far as I'm concerned, I will show you two sets. One in 2015, starting 2015, and the other one starting 2014. All right? Let's go to 2014, November. March 3, 2014, Philippine FDA Dengue Consultation Meeting objective is to present updates on the development of dengue vaccine. So you were all looking at the development of dengue vaccine at the FDA. Right? Anybody here who was there on that group that time? Were you there, Dr. Kenny?
Your Honor, yes, I was.
You were the head of FDA.
The FDA, yes.
So you were looking at that. Now, later on, you would be with Swilly Foundation, right?
No, Swilly Foundation was 6 years
I
ahead.
know, later on. I said later on. Relax, I said later on. And then October 3, 2014, Nick Lutero, the third was designated as OIC of the FDA. October 28, Secretary Ono went on a medical leave on October 28, allegedly due to his personal health issues. Secretary Garin becomes OIC. Secretary Obial, can you please follow? We can see whether we're on the right track here. So Secretary Garin takes over as OIC on October the 28th, right?
Yes, Your Honor, Acting Health Secretary.
December 19, 2014, Secretary Ono resigned, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you will remember that I asked that on November the 9th, 2014, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Benigno S. Aquino III, went to Beijing where he met with Sanofi. Alright? And he was accompanied by some other officials. Met with Jean-Luc Lewinsky at the Philippine Embassy in Beijing. Right? And on December 19, Secretary Honor resigned and Secretary Garin becomes acting or actual?
She became the secretary ad interim
Ad interim, alright.
on the resignation of Secretary Ona.
On January 21, 2015, Sanofi Pasteur, you know, a few weeks after Secretary Garin took over, Sanofi submitted this application for registration with the FDA and paid fees even if the submission is incomplete, calling it rolling submission. First time I ever heard of rolling submission. Have you ever heard of rolling submission?
Yes, Your Honor. It's very standard in the industry.
Sorry, I did not ask you. I'm
Sorry.
asking my government. FDA. Yes. You took over in December, right? Of 2016.
I took over as
15.
Center for CBR ROIC in January 2013, Your Honor.
Yeah.
At the time when it was applied.
Rolling submission. Did you implement that?
Yeah, with regards to the rolling submission, at the time when there was, on March 2014, it was discussed, and it was actually a take-off from the discussion that was held in 2012 when they first started submitting the clinical package. It was actually a strategy employed by US FDA for expedited review.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Your Honor, ulitin ko lang po ulit. Nung pinag-usapan po ang rolling submission, it was actually March 2014. It was one of the strategies being employed by the US FDA.
US?
US FDA, Your Honor. US FDA.
I thought you were independent of the United States in 1946.
Your Honor, we always refer to our benchmark counterparts like US FDA, Europe, and Japan. Similar to the use of the guidelines, we call it ICH. Nakapattern din po yun sa Europe, US.
So do you have rolling submissions every day of the year?
No, Your Honor, it's only applied to products that are considered breakthrough medicines. It's not being applied to all types of drugs.
And you considered at that time that this was breakthrough medicine?
Yes, Your Honor.
It
was a
only
novel
happened
vaccine.
after the President of the Republic of the Philippines met with Sanofi on November the 9th.
Your Honor, pasensya na po kayo, iba yung pagkakaintindi ko dito. At that time, we were strongly believing that Dengvaxia is a novel vaccine similar with other products applied for the registration, Your Honor.
Well, November 9th, the facts are very clear and are uncontroverted. The President met with Sanofi. January 21, you had a rolling submission for Sanofi. On February 17, 2015, Secretary Green becomes full-fledged DOH Secretary 3 months after the meeting. And if we go now to the next few months or few weeks, March movements of key personnel take place, you become OIC Center of Drug Rehabilitation. Is that correct?
In March 2015, I was moved to the field operations, Your Honor.
Yeah.
And Melody Samudio took over.
Field Regulatory Operations Office.
Yeah, that's
So
correct,
that's
Your
it.
Honor.
I'm showing you this one para malaman natin. So, immediately, I suppose that's normal. Lalagay nila Secretary Green yung mga tao niya sa mga importanteng opisina. Like I'm sure Secretary Duque is doing now. You're putting your people in different crucial positions.
Where they will make the...
You will be comfortable working with your own people, right?
But I didn't bring anyone of my...
I know you didn't bring anyone, but you were there before, so you
Yes.
know most of the people.
Sure.
I've been in government far longer than you, so please do not try to circle the wagons around me, because I know. All right? May 4, end of Attorney Lieutenant's designation as OIC of FDA. May 5, voila. Is this the first? Secretary Green becomes FDA and at the same time Secretary of Health? Secretary Duque?
I'm not
You've
aware
been-
of anyone like that ever before. This is the first time?
First time. She is head of DOH and she's also head of FDA. What does FDA do? It certifies which products can be sold in the market,
products?
right?
Health products, yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Very powerful, isn't it? And I hear all sorts of complaints with FDA that they're very slow to approve new medicine. Especially, never mind, I can tell you about other things. And then on May 8th, completion of Sanofi requirements. Dikit-dikit eh. Completion of Sanofi requirements with the FDA. 3 days after she becomes FDA. And then, May 11, Sanofi requests Secretary Garin for exemption from generic labeling. That's 3 days after they complete the requirements. On May 14, Secretary Garin goes to Paris and visits Sanofi. It's probably coincidental. Sabay-sabay lang siguro, no? Ganun ba yan? Ganun ba yan? Sabay-sabay. Pinayagan, nag-apply, nagubo, takbo kagad doon sa Sanofi. And then, on May 15, Secretary Green visits Sanofi Pasteur Nouvelle Dengue Vaccine Facility and advanced study copy meeting in Switzerland, technical consultation to national regulator to review dengue vaccine dossier, summary trip to Switzerland for July 28. Nagpadala siya ng notice sa opisina, magpadala kayo ng tao dito sa meeting na ito. See? May 15. Bigyan niyo ang dates, sabay-sabay. Dami, panay Sanofi ha. Next. May 18, email of Secretary Green to Lulu Santiago Walipais. Kompleto na ba? Any submission recently, please advise meeting Secretary later to inquire about the progress. Email subject, Sanofi Pasteur's rolling submission. Very interesting. Day by day. May 18 to 26. Coincidentally, she goes to World Health Organization in Geneva. I don't want to make any snide remarks about Geneva. June 9, 2015, Secretary Green, once she got back here, negotiates with Sanofi to reduce the cost of the vaccines in Manila. October 29, 2015, Sanofi applied to be included in the Philippine National Drug Formulary. November 3, 2015, end of performance of duties as FDA. She doesn't have to sign the approval of Sanofi. On October 29, on November 3. November 4, Lulu Santiago was designated OIC, FDA. Tama? Ikaw na ang pipirma. Hindi, alam ko kung sino pipirma niyan, don't worry. November 17, 2015, Sanofi Pasteur CEO and President Oliver Shamil met with Philippine officials in Manila during the APEC summit meeting. Shall I show you a press release and a picture of this guy coming here? And then, there you go. Bilis ng staff ko ngayon, ha? Sige pa. Ano ba pinag-usapan dyan? Left to right. Kenneth Hartigan go. Is that you, Kenneth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next. There you go. Is that you? Yes, it seems like it's a very good likeness. Next. Next. Let's now go back to the timeline. We were here, November 17 for the APEC. December 1, 2 weeks later, President Benigno Aquino goes to Paris and meets with Sanofi. These are all coincidences, I suppose. There. December 1. Next. December 2. Another coincidence. Secretary Green while still in Paris, sent an email to former FDA OIC Lulu Santiago asking when will the CPR for Dengvaxia be released. Right? December 10, Secretary Green submits a proposal to DBM for Health Facilities Enhancement Program funding and procurement of 3 million doses of Dengvaxia for 1 million vaccines. There's only one thing wrong with this, not only because it's close to one another, but the recommendation to include Dengvaxia came a day after, given by Dr. Mariano Baquilod. Where is Dr. Mariano? Why? Nauna pa yung inclusion bago sa recommendation mo. Alright, I'll ask you later. December 18, 3 weeks after the meeting with the Hassanovi, FDA, Lulis has sent an email to Grace Medina, one of the evaluators of Dengvaxia, copy furnished Melody Zamudio, asking for status on the completion of Dengvaxia review for a meeting with Secretary regarding the matter. This was made pursuant to follow-up made by Secretary Green. December 22, FDA approved the marketing of the Dengvaxia. FDA issued a certificate of product registration. Bilis. Especially with the known reputation ng FDA na hindi basta-basta nagbibigay ng permit. December 23, memorandum for President issued by DBM Secretary Abad recommending funding of projects from fiscal year 2015 savings from the miscellaneous personal benefit fund and pension gratuity fund so they can be obligated and disbursed before the end of December 31, which was the deadline, right? If you don't submit it, wala na yung pera. Right? Dr. Biao? And then, on December the 28th, wow, isang buwan lang siya, ha? DBM asked EPI to prepare procurement documents for the dengue vaccine. Dr. Duque asked for exemption from the formulary. Bakit ang bilis-bilis? Bakit napipilit tayo? Why are we forcing the issue on Dengvaxia? Is it because the elections are coming nearer and nearer and nearer? Next. December 29, wow, very, very hard to get a SARO for 1 million, for 10 million. This is for 3.5 billion. Wrong. The SARO was for a bigger figure of more than 10 billion pesos, which I am going to investigate now. Motu proprio, this committee will now investigate the fact that apart from dengue, there was an order now for health clinics to be made and also 10 billion project in fighting dengue, 3.5 billion and 3,200 barangay health centers to be built at the cost of 4.8 billion. The money was from 10 billion PhilHealth coverage funds. I think Dr. Liachon, you will gain PhilHealth later on for senior citizens. Lighting speed. The 4 billion contract divided by 3,200 barangay health centers is 1.4 million per unit. Wow. Each unit, by the way, is only 42 square meters in size. 1.4 million ang halaga. And costs about 33,159 per square meter. And this is in the provinces. I thought this was in Quezon City or Makati. I will go to that later on. I'm a little bit upset because sinabay-sabay. Alright? And then, on January, I informed Dr. Julius Oxores about the plan to implement. Sunod-sunod na yan. So in less than a month, everything was approved. It was assigned to Philippine Children's Memorial or General Hospital Center, and then on January 25, wow. I will remind you, Dr. Duque said that they are not ready to implement the program. Did you not, Dr. Duque? You said that, right? Sabi mo na yan. Please answer the microphone. After you recommended it, 1 week later you said we're not ready to implement it. So big, right?
Yes, I said that during the first FEC meeting.
Right. So, mamadali lang. January 25, arrival of 145,250 doses of Dengvaxia. And we were told that there was nothing in the shelf when they talked about it in Paris nung mag-usap si Secretary Garin at ang Sanofi. Do you think you can escape all these timelines? Wow. Urgent protocol to prevent preventable problems for briefing to the President January 27. Hardly gonna go. How come the President gets in your way all the time?
May I be allowed to explain it?
I'm asking you.
Right. This email was to be given to 4 individuals in the Department of Health so that we could get our act together in creating a protocol for safety monitoring of the product if it were to be used. And that's really all a post-market surveillance integrated to a public health program if it were to be used. That briefing to the President isn't really so. Many of the items in the email was about academic discussions on situations that may arise, questions that may be asked, creating a safety protocol for, as I said, monitoring when it's rolled out. That's it, Your Honor. There's no.
Of course, the President knew about it a year before, and a year later he met with this Sanofi, and now he has to be briefed, right? That's important.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. Indeed, there was a question asked much earlier in previous meetings, and I can't recall the date, but the question was, well, if this is going to be used in the private sector, how different should it be if it were to be rolled out as a public program?
Okay, all right.
That's really
I'm just stating facts here. I'm just stating facts.
Your Honor.
And they are incontrovertible. These things actually happen. All at close proximity to each other's dates. February 3, Certificate of Exemption of Dengue tetravalent vaccine was issued. Special talaga, all the way. February 9, in the earning call of Sanofi, CEO Oliver Brandicourt announced that initial shipments of the vaccines arrived in the Philippines at the end of January. There you go. I mean, just so happened that God made the earth in 7 days. Sanofi was able to get all these things done in so short a time. And so forth and so on. You know, doses of Dengvaxia arrived, another 397,000, February 19, MOA between DOH and PCMC. Notice of cash allocation was issued by DBM. In other words, March 8, fund transferred to PCMC. Purchase order was made afterwards on the same day. WHO says released guidelines for use of dengue vaccine. And now let me ask a question. You got an exemption from formulary, right? From the formulary. Thomas?
Yes.
Now, who, Melissa, I suppose you were with the formulary.
Dean Imelda Peña is from the Formulary Executive Council.
Let me ask you a simple question, ma'am. What were these conditions again? We all know that, but please show us the conditions. Ano, basahin nyo lang. Before you can utilize it. By the way, have we administered the oath to you? Not yet.
Not yet.
Please stand up.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
Yes, I will.
And what is your name?
I'm Imelda Peña from the Formulary Executive Council.
All right, okay. So you were the FEC. Now, what were the conditions that were given for the exemption? And it was a 1-year condition, 1 year only, right?
Yes, sir.
Can
Yes,
you
sir.
please explicitate in Tagalog kung pwede?
Alright po. So let me just reiterate po the conditions that we have recommended for the exemption of the dengue vaccine. So number 1 would be phased implementation po of the vaccination program. considering the readiness of the local government unit and the schools who will implement the said program. And this is one condition because the vaccine has never been administered at a population level. Second would be the stage.
I noticed that I don't want to disturb the lunch of Dr. Halsted. Dr. Halsted, the conditions were number one, phased and localized implementation of the vaccination program, contingent on the readiness of the LGU and the schools to appropriately implement the program. And your reason for that was?
It's a new vaccine and that the vaccine has never been administered at the population level.
Of this level, of this high?
Yes, po, and
Right.
there may be unknown risks which could be better managed and contained with a phased implementation.
And the second condition?
The second condition was staged procurement because of uncertainties in the clinical and economic value of the vaccine. So as more information is gathered during implementation, the DOH may negotiate for a better price.
All
The
right.
third condition would be there should be an FDA-approved risk management plan from the company, Sanofi Pasteur, as part of the pharmacovigilance requirement of the FDA.
Do you know if these three were done?
If this
Were complied
three-
with? These first three?
If this were
Complied with?
complied with, no.
So it was not complied with. Melissa, was it complied with?
The third one, I think they submitted an approved risk management plan later on, but number 1 and 2 were not.
When did they submit that?
I would not know, so maybe FDA could educate us when it was submitted.
I think that was submitted already in 2017. Right? Yeah. Yes.
Your Honor, in March 2017, Dr. Benjico alerted Sanofi for not complying with the post-marketing requirements, which is risk management plan. And he reported that on March 2017. Then 8 months after the November 29, 2017 advisory, Secretary Duque suspended the mass vaccination and FDA discontinued the sales, marketing, distribution, and then fined Sanofi 100,000 pesos for non-compliance with the post-marketing. Ibig sabihin, sir, even at the time, Sanofi was not compliant with the FDA requirements in terms of safety monitoring.
Is that correct, Dr. Benji? Do you affirm that?
Yes, that's true. The Director General, sometime in March, had already directed me to work with her regarding the post-marketing surveillance and the risk management plans of Sanofi with respect to Dengue.
And they did not submit it on time?
Non-timely submission.
Not timely?
Yes.
How untimely?
You know, pharma companies are sometimes...
No, I don't know.
Well...
Please do not talk to me as if I know.
This one, they could not commit the certain dates that they...
1 year?
No, just a few months.
How few?
About...
And you did not think it was vital?
I thought it was vital. That's why I placed out
That's
the
why
report of violation.
parents are crying?
And we discussed this actually with the Director General, and then she...
That's why they were fined 100,000?
They were eventually fined for it.
All right. 4.
To continue, Your Honor, number 4 is an approved protocol for a post-licensure study to determine the long-term safety and effectiveness of the vaccine, which should include, for a sample of patients to be vaccinated, first, baseline dengue serotype status.
What does that mean?
This is whether the patient is seropositive or seronegative before administering
Very crucial,
the vaccine.
isn't it?
Yes.
Dr. Hall said they were asking whether the patient was seropositive or seronegative. Very crucial, right? Was this undertaken?
To our knowledge, none. No.
So it was not. Nobody knows, only God knows. B, serotyping
Letter
of
B
patients
is serotyping for patients who will eventually develop dengue.
Is that the same practically?
Practically, yes, sir. And then C is baseline and serial antibody testing.
All right.
Number 4 is safety and effectiveness
And
outcomes.
obviously this was not done because we did not put money for testing, right?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Right, Secretary Bial? So all these conditions, for the most part already, and we're just on number 4, were not being complied with. 5, safety and effectiveness outcomes. Was anything submitted?
No, sir.
None. And they were supposed to submit this to FEC, right? And that is why you gave them 1 year only, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if they did not do it, you would have withdrawn the 1 year.
Yes, sir.
Right. 5th, plan for training of personnel and implementation by the expanded program on immunization. Was that complied with?
None to our knowledge, sir.
And so, the Philippine Children's Medical Center is the culprit here, right? Anybody from PCCM? Huh? PCMC? Saan yan? Saan yung PCMC? Please come forward and be recognized. Nako naman, nagtatago kayo eh. Come over here. Ayan, sige.
Sir, I'm Mary Ann Bunyi. I'm from Philippine Children's Medical Center. Regarding your...
Just a moment, raise your right hand and repeat after the nice bald man who is about to speak.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Let the record stand that Marianne took the oath. Yes, go ahead and ask her that.
Sir, regarding your comment about the training of health workers before...
Personnel and implementation by the expanded
Yes, sir,
program.
that was done. It was together with the Department of Health.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And you were here last time we had a meeting?
Not the previous one, but
And
the
you saw-
other
All right.
hearings I was
And you
here.
saw, and I have a copy of the sample of the paper that was given to the parents. I can easily ask the parents now whether they were properly told the content of
Sir, you're referring to the parental consent?
everything like that. This is part of the training, right?
That was included, sir,
Yeah.
but the training was really held in the different regions where the implementation would be
Pero
done.
obviously the training did not work well because maraming parents nagko-complain. Di ba, Attorney Acosta? Please answer to the microphone. Sa nakausap niyo ba na nasabihan ba yung mga pasyente?
Mga patient, sir?
Yung mga magulang. Kayo ba mga magulang?
Nandiyan po yung mga magulang, sir, ng mga namatay.
Tatanungin natin sila mamaya.
Opo, saka yung mga buhay pa po yung anak nila.
Alright. 6, operational guidelines on the use and administration of the vaccine. Was this complied with?
This was included, sir, but we did not see this.
You don't have any personal knowledge whether this was actually complied with, do you?
Meron daw. Meron na daw po sa
Meron. According to Secretary Bial.
Yes, sir. There was an issuance...
I cannot go on here, say here, you know that.
in the latter part of February 2016.
All right. 7, appropriate risk communication to parents and school children about the extent of protection provided by the vaccine. I think the last session proved that the parents were not appropriately given that kind of information.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And then number 8 is the DOH should actively monitor the outcomes in order to determine the real clinical value of the dengue vaccine that will help determine the real-time cost-effective price for the government.
So you would
That's
say,
the last.
was this complied with?
The last one, sir?
Yes. Monitoring of outcomes?
Yes, I believe, sir.
Really now?
But
How many
perhaps
people have been
not
sick? You're talking about outcomes. I'm asking you now. If they complied with it, we would know how many patients, how many children have gotten sick. Isn't that an outcome?
AFI.
Marianne, isn't that an outcome?
Sir, it's an outcome, but we have an AEFI, surveillance committee of the DOH, which is doing it now. the monitoring of patients who have received the...
He's only doing it now because a lot of patients...
It has been in existence, sir, the AAFI.
No, but before all this brouhaha over children getting sick, very, very sick, even dying, do you have an outcome report, Secretary Duque? Huwag na tayo naglulukuhan dito ha. Sabihin natin ang totoo because this should all be the basis for correcting what was wrong before. This will not happen again. Am I making myself clear? In other words, Secretary Duque, you are in a position to know that this was not undertaken, correct? The formulary has already said most of it has not been undertaken, correct?
Yes, that's...
I'd like to hear from the formulary.
Yes, Your Honor.
It was not undertaken.
Some of this, sir.
Most of it.
Most of it.
Most of it. I don't want to
Yes,
put
Your
words in
Honor.
your mouth.
Most of it, sir, were not undertaken.
All right. If that is the case, how can we proceed with it anyway? And let me now ask this very, very vital question. When were these conditions supposed to have been met? What were the conditions sine qua non before you said, go ahead, inject on a mass scale? The conditions were imposed by the FEC. Who were supposed to see to it that the conditions sine qua non were properly undertaken? Secretary Biel, you were there at that time?
Sir, the implementation team,
I don't understand.
whoever was tasked to implement the vaccination program.
So how did we jump from the conditions that were supposed to be met to full implementation of mass immunization? Hindi ko maintindihan yun. You impose conditions, and the conditions are not met, and then you jump into full implementation of mass immunization. You may answer, don't be afraid because we are correcting something that is terribly wrong with our system.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
the FEC outputs were merely recommendatory. So it's really the secretary, the head of agencies, made the final decision to implement.
So Secretary Garin, this was the recommendation. Really? Is this a recommendation? A condition is not a recommendation. If it was recommendations, you would have said recommendation. If it was conditions, ibig sabihin you cannot implement without satisfying these conditions. Did I take my English lessons wrong?
Your Honor,
You can see the degree of exasperation that has been rising in my body right now. Can somebody please take my temperature and my blood pressure? Go ahead. Answer.
Your Honor, I just would like to say that the FEC recommended only these conditions for consideration by the Secretary of Health.
All right. In other words, you're saying that although these were conditions, these should have been followed by the Secretary of Health. And why did you impose these conditions? Why did you recommend these conditions?
We made this recommendation as technical resource persons in the Department of Health.
So is everybody sitting there on that side? You're all members of the Department of Health. Why did you give this recommendation? Is it not to make sure that this is safe for the people who are going to receive them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it not true that the formulary is a sentinel to make sure that no government hospital, no government pharmacy will issue this vaccine?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. We're actually helping the department with these recommendations because we believe that this will really safeguard our patients and the children against possible unforeseen risks, and especially for the department to design and operationalize the vaccination program.
And to complete the circle of responsibility, the difference between FDA and that, in the FDA instruction, this is a prescribed medicine, right? Prescription, correct? It is prescription for the rich. Yeah. My director or myself cannot go to my doctor and say, administer it to me without a prescription coming from him. Correct? FDA? Sino ba FDA dito ngayon? Oh, Mr. Pauline. Charade is here. So, Mr. Pauline, your charade is over. The real charade is here. Sorry, you're not gonna get your 3 minutes of TV time. I'm glad you're well, Charade. Please take the position of the gentleman. Ms. Puno, when you issue, when the FDA issued the permit for the CPR for Dengvaxia, that meant that any doctor can now prescribe or issue a prescription to get a vaccination for his patient. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman.
This abused my mind if I'm wrong because, in other words, nobody can just go in there, sige, can you give me a vaccination? He has to write a prescription.
Yes, the doctor should be writing, since it's the Dengvaxia is a prescription vaccine.
Bakit kailangan magbigay ng prescription?
Kasi ho, pag sinabi niyo pong prescription, kailangan ho, controlled po ito. Ito pong mga pasyente ho natin, kailangan natin malaman kung meron bang existing na sakit o ito pong mga pasyente natin ay meron hong underlying condition during that time ng inoculation. Hindi po pwedeng basta-bastang iniiniksyonan kasi ho, meron hong mga tao na pwede hong hindi naaayon yung pag-inject ng vaccine.
Anong tawag doon sa term na yun? Nagkakaroon allergic reaction?
May allergic reaction po, anaphylactic shock.
Sorry, I'm a lawyer. I hate these medical terms. Anaphylaxis?
Yes.
Anaphylaxis.
Yes, sir.
Pwedeng gano'n, di ba?
Yes, Mr.
Kaya
Chair.
kailangan nyo may prescription.
Yes, kailangan po may
Pero ang tanong ko, for the life of me, kaya nagbigay ng conditions or recommendations na may conditions. I'm just musing and tell me if I'm wrong from the formulary. Is because walang doktor na tutulong sa public school. Mass inoculation eh. They will just get the consent of the father or the mother or the guardian and they'll say, libreng bakuna para hindi na magka-dengue ang anak niya. Sino ang tututol doon? Lalo na kung hindi naturuan yung nag-orient doon sa magtuturo na dapat sabihin mo kung may sakit yung bata, may lagnat, hindi kayo pwedeng bigyan nitong vaccine na ito. Tama po ba yun? Ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
You agree, Secretary Duque, of course. So that means, kung hindi sinunod yan, what is the logical conclusion? Somebody has to be held responsible. So that's what I'm trying to get from you folks who push the button. Who said, gawin na natin to. Damn the torpedoes. Full speed ahead. Inoculate all the 830,000. Parang the charge of the Light Brigade. Yes, Secretary Abiel. I'm finishing this report. These are my last questions of these hearings.
Sir, it has to be the captain of the ship, the Secretary of Health.
So the Secretary of Health.
Yes, sir.
Now, all of you, including Hartigan Go, and I'm not even on Hartigan's case that later on Swilig has a foundation. Swilig is the one that sold the medicine, right? That sold it to the government, right? But I am only going to say this, as far as I'm concerned, this one. when you see the President of the Philippines meeting with Sanofi in a foreign country, a Vice President, are you surprised that the timeline will be so fast? And when he meets again on December 1, should we not be surprised na ang bilis-bilis umabot ng saro, nakapaglabas ng pera? So, President Truman once said the buck stops here, on his desk. When the President himself talks with Sanofi, not just once but twice, even goes to Paris and talks with them. Secretary Garin could be the captain, but the commander-in-chief of the captain is the one that gives the signals, especially kung lalabas yung pera na 3.5 billion pesos to buy the medicine and another 4.5 billion for other stuff na iahabol sa election day. Now, all of us went to the same school, I think. Some of you are from UP. Some of you went to Ateneo. I went to Ateneo also. I went to UP. I also went to a public school when I was grade 1. So all of us have something in common. God gave us some brains. Now, how can you disabuse the mind of the Blue Ribbon Committee that the people who pressed the button was no less than the President of the Republic of the Philippines, his budget minister, his Secretary of Health, and all the other people that went along for the ride because the President said so. The President acted so. Disregarding conditions, disregarding protocols, even violating procurement provisions, and in the process, for whatever reason there was, hurt the young people of this country. Do I have any comments from all of you? Eric Domingo from UP? Mag-iimbis ba kayo pa sa PGH? Kayo? Sa PAO? Kayo sa FDA? Kayo mga doktor? This is the tragedy of this investigation. Any comments before I close? Oh yeah, sorry. I'm going to close, but I would be remiss if I don't call the parents. Kayo po ba mga parents na na-take na kayo ba ng oath? Sino ba hindi nakatake ng oath? Kayo po, tayo lang ho kayo. Upo na ho kayo dito at mag-senador na kayo for this occasion. Director Rudy?
Pakitayo lang po.
Pakitayo lang ho, marapol kayo doon sa matanda sa likod.
You swear or affirm that the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Ano ho ang pangalan niyo sa kaliwa? Jenny Larga. Jenny?
Yes.
LB Leiralde. Kayo po? Ha?
Sumachen Dominguez. Sumachen Dominguez.
Sumachen Dominguez. Kayo po?
Maricel Machas po.
Maricel. Alright. It is, ayun ngayon ang magsalita po. Ano po ba ang gusto niyo sabihin ngayon dito sa atin? Yes.
Gusto ko lang pong ipaalam sa inyo na kami ay may samahan na binubuo ng 37 members. Dito namin natitrace yung mga reklamo ng mga magulang. Napakarami po nilang daing. Gusto naming alamin ko ano ba talaga yung tulong na binibigay nyo sa mga magulang. Bakit ang dami nilang reklamo? Ang daming nahihirapan sa sitwasyon na to, pero wala kaming nakikitang monitor na sinasabi nyo. Yung pagpunta namin sa hospital, pahirapan. Kailangan pa namin ilapit kay Doc Melissa sa mga representatives ng region. Pahirapan ang ginagawa niyo sa amin. Sa nangyayaring to, nalalaman namin ngayon na yung vaccine na ay hindi pala po pwede sa mga zero negative. Eh ngayon, hindi namin alam kung saan kami nabibilang. Ano ba talaga ang plano nyo sa aming mga anak? Ano ba ang tulong na may bibigay nyo? Paano nyo masasabi na ligtas ang aming mga anak kung yung mga lumalabas ngayon na pagkakaroon ng hearing dito ay nalalaman na namin ngayon na hindi ligtas ang mga anak namin dahil hindi namin alam kung saan sila nabibilang. Ano ang plano nyo ngayon sa aming mga anak? Yun lang po ang katanungan ko. Yung plano nyo po, yung gusto naming maliwanagan sa inyo. Yun lang po. Salamat po.
Alam ko sinabi mo na yung monitor. Siguro kailangan ipaliwanag yung maigi.
Yes, Your Honor. First and foremost, yung tulong na gusto namin pong ibigay sa mga magulang ay na andito po sa akin mga sulat, yung 1,161,000,000 na pondong ibinalik po ng Sanofi mula doon sa mga hindi nagamit na bakuna, Dengvaxia, ay kami po ay humihingi ng authorization o pahintulot mula sa DBM at sa Kongreso para nang sa ganon ay mailabas ang pondong ito at gamitin para sa mga pangailangan po ng inyong mga anak. Yung gastusin sa pagpapaospital, gastusin sa dengue kits, inaantay po natin ang mga kasagutan sa mga sulat na ito at ako po ay magbibigay sa inyo ng mga kopya, lahat po ng mga sulat. At tugon po sa inyong kahilingan, meron ito po United Parents Against Dengvaxia Philippines. Kayo po ba ito, ma'am? Ay, ba yan? O, kasi nakalagay po dito, the National Federation of Dengvaxia Victims Organization would like to have a dialogue with Secretary Duque within this week if it is possible. Opo.
Secretary Duque,
Opo.
the time for dialogue is done. You said that you needed congressional approval to use that money.
Yes, sir.
I heard Secretary Diokno, sinasabi ko po sa inyo. Yes. Sabi niya, pwede yung gamitin.
Okay.
So, ang gagawin po natin ay kunin kay Secretary Diokno na sinacertify niya na itong perang ito ay pwedeng ilaan at papangako ko sa inyo this afternoon, magre-resolution na ako, magpapile ako ng bill na gamitin niyang perang yan para sa mga magulang.
Yes, sir.
At kailangan ko lang ng suporta sa lower house.
Yes, sir.
At pakiusapan nyo lang sa lower house kung sino daw.
We did already through the chairperson, Committee on Health, si Angelina Tan.
Okay.
And
I'm sure Secretary JB will file that along with me. And so that, alam nyo, ang pera po hindi pwedeng gamitin kung walang congressional approval. Ito lang po nakaraang administrasyon ang gumagamit ng walang congressional approval. Nakakapaglabas ng 10 bilyon. Ewan ko kung ba't hindi magawa ni Secretary Duque yun. Yes, Secretary Domingo.
Maganda nga po. Yung pong sa zero testing, actually po yung expert panel natin, ilagay siya sa listahan ng mga top priorities natin. Nag-usap na po si Secretary Duque at saka ang Secretary po ng DOST and ipa-fund po yung pag-develop at saka pag-validate.
Yung zero testing?
Opo, yung zero testing ng mga nabakunahan.
Yung magagaling sa Hawaii at saka sa...
Sa Hawaii po, tinitingnan natin Taiwan o kaya yung sa Pittsburgh.
Yeah, para matest yung mga...
At ang ginawa po namin timeline nila Dr. Lansang, nila Dr. Celia Carlos, yung baka po yung 2 taon, pipilitin nating mapaiksi, pero talaga pong mga 1 taon bago ma-develop ito. Pero at least we're looking forward na kasi talaga pong hindi pa siya available no, na para sa pangmaramihan. Kailangan pa po talaga nating i-develop yung test dito. Pero ito po yung pangunahin na ano po ngayon sa agenda ng ating PCHRD, ng DOH po, tsaka ng DOST.
Alright, okay, good.
May dagdag lang po ako, Your Honor. Yung pong sa pondong hinihingi po natin, kapag napahintulutan ng Kongreso at ng DBM, kasama din po dyan yung budget para po sa pagtalaga ng 500 na mga surveillance officers, na sila po ang mga nurses na iikot po yan sa mga bawat eskwelahan at sa mga unahin sa mga eskwela, tapos sa mga komunidad na kung saan po nandoon yung mga vaccinees, para alamin ho kung sila ba ay kumusta, sila ba ay nag-absent, kung nag-absent, bakit
Siguro,
nag-absent.
Secretary Duque, isulat nyo na yan ngayon.
Pero,
ilalagay na natin yan.
Yes, sir. We will do that.
Gagawin na natin yan ngayon.
Tapos meron ho kami i-roll out na yung application together with DepEd para sa application sa cellphone. Lalagay ho doon, pwedeng gamitin po ng mga magulang. Ite-text lang nila, maglalabas po doon yung ano ba yung mga symptoms, check lang nila, pipindutin lang ho yung screen at doon lalabas, tatapon ho yung data na yon sa central office at may mag-analyze ho nito at magbibigay ho ng abiso kaakibat po nung application na ito.
The
bibigyan po namin sila
Indian
ng-
government is a very good program like that, and I suggest the guy who's running it, the vice CEO is my friend from the World Bank before. You might want to ask their help if you can use permanently for the Department of Health.
And lastly, sir, nakikipag-ugnayan din po kami sa Philippine Red Cross. At salamat ho kay Chairman Gordon ng Red Cross. At kami po ay regular nang nagpupulong yung multi-stakeholder meeting. At sa susunod nga ho, kapag nabuo na po yung mga kinatawan ninyo, ay kayo po ay aanyayahan din namin na makipagpulong sa amin on a regular basis para nang sa ganun po, nagpapalitan po tayo ng inyong pong mga mungkahi o suhestyon at nang sa ganun naman mapaigin pa namin lalo ang mga proseso namin.
Lahat ng chapter ng Red Cross sa Region 4, Region 3, Metro Manila ay na-meeting na at sa Region 7. May meeting ayaw ko natapos sa Region 7, natapos lang may Region 7. Region 7 hindi pa. Pero lahat dyan nagkaroon ng turukan ng injection. So, yan ay pwedeng puntahan pagka nakaset up na yan. Matatawagan nila yung mga opisina na yan para madala namin sa ambulansya yung bata kung kailangan dali sa ambulansya o kagad masabihan sila na dapat dali na kagad sa ospital kung kailangan dali sa ospital. Yun ang pinag-usapan rin natin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At Inay Sumachen at yung mga iba pa mga nanay dito, yung dengue kits ay kasi malaking hong bilang, hindi ito parang 2,000, 3,000 pamilya lamang, kundi pinag-usapan po natin dito halos 1 milyon. Pati yung mga asa komunidad po, hindi lang po limitado sa mga eskwelahan, na kapag meron kami binili, halimbawa thermometer, sabihin mo na 150 pesos isa. Kung bibigyan mo yan sa 100, 1,500. Sa 1,000, 10,500. You're talking about almost 1 million. Sa thermometer pala ko, 1,000,000 na ho kaagad ito. So, yung pondo po na ito ay hindi naman nakasama sa budget for 2018. Kaya ako po yung hihingi ng konti pang pasensya. At kung mailabas po ang pahintulot, ang certification, ay sa lalong madaling panahon makapag-bidding ho kasi naayon din po sa batas at sa Commission on Audit, kailangan po itong malalaking mga bilihin na ito po ay kinakailangan dumaan sa tamang proseso ng bidding. Kasi kung wala akong bidding, ako naman nung baka makulong. Hindi naman nung siguro...
well, anyway, gagawa natin ng paraan. Yan ang sinasabi ni Secretary Duque. I think if you explain to them now, mahirapan sila i-comprehend pa yung mga kung ano nyo. In fact, we can talk to the telcos to help us na dapat magbigay sila ng load. Pag kailangan nyo, binigyan ako ng telcos doon sa emergencies ng load na pwede kong padala sa mga parents at pwede silang mag-text kung kailangan nila ng tulong kagad. Kaya palagi ko yung mga thermometer, medyo may pagka-OA na yan. Basta nagkaroon ng lahat. Ang bata, dalhin nyo na yan. Dalhin nyo na kagad. Huwag nyo nang hintayin pa.
Yung thermometer, sir?
Bawal nung pumalakpak. Pasensya na kayo dito. At you can do the thermometer. Meron naman kayong mga barangay health center na hindi natuloy doon sa eskwela. Yung gagawin sana nila nung sa pera na yon. Pero dapat, ang advice dapat sa publiko, pagka nilagnat na yung bata o unusual at naturukan niya, itakbo na nila kagad sa health center at baka pa na lang ninyo doon ng suporta para hindi na sila nahihirapan pa kung kakapain nila kung sino ang gagawin nila ng paraan. Kailangan makapunta na sila kagad. We can talk about that with them later after this meeting. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Kayo.
Secretary Duque, siguro mas maganda kung meron kayong mga plano para sa mga victims, isasama niyo po mga parents kasi malaki po ang maibigay naming information sa inyo kung ano talaga ang dapat o ano talaga yung kailangan namin.
O sige po, ito na nga ako. Pagka nagpulong ho muli ang DOH at ang Red Cross at ang mga iba pang multi-stakeholders, ay amin hong kikilalanin kung sino ho sa mga grupo ninyo o leaders ang amin pong aanyayahan sa susunod na meetings po namin.
Tsaka Secretary Duque, kung magka-hard kayo ng ibang tao, pwede niyo pong i-involve ang mga parents. Willing po kaming tumulong.
Maraming salamat po. Gagawin po natin mga
Para po sa mga bata, para po sa aming mga anak. Importante po sila, Secretary.
Sige po. Maraming salamat po. Yung 500 po na nurses na amin pong surveillance officers na itatalaga po natin sa mga iba't ibang mga eskwelahan, sisiguraduhin namin na makilala kayo at kung paano ang contact ninyo, pakikipag-ugnayan para regular na monitoring ang mangyayari.
Sige po. Thank you po.
Salamat din po.
Secretary, Secretary Duque, actually we have a letter from the group of parents, no. We, the National Federation of Dengvaxia Victims Organization, which is composed of United Parents Against Dengvaxia Philippines, or UPART, Parents Alliance, Anak Dengvaxia, and Parents Coalition Against Dengvaxia Vaccine, are requesting to have a formal dialogue with you to discuss on making immediate, doable, short and long-term actions to resolve the pressing issues and problems we are experiencing. Actually, we appreciate po yung effort na nagawa na po ng DOH. Remember, the last Senate hearing, we already state our request to have a long-term best medical care for our children. Kumbaga, yung immediate medical intervention, mahaba po kasing mahabang mga list na nakalagay po sa amin. So, the group of parents and of all the victims would like to personally sit down all the problems that we are experiencing. Kasi po, actually, marami pang mga problema. Actually, ito pong mga hawak ko po is mostly questions coming from the parents. Siguro po kung babasahin ko po ito at this moment, matatagalan po tayo. Kasi although, yes, we understand po that the DOH is doing its best to reach out sa all the patients, pero lahat po ng yun na nababalita, napapanood namin sa TV or sa media, hindi po lahat ng mga patients and victims ay nare-reach out po. Kumbaga, ang pakiramdam ng mga, mostly of the parents, is more on, pasensya na po, parang media or parang chika lang po ng ginagawa ng ating government. Where in fact, marami pa hong mga nahihirapan, especially po yung mga parents na parang nananahimik na lang po dahil parang etong problema na pumating sa kanila, wala na pong solution because the problem, malalaking mga institutions and personalities ang kailangan nilang kalabanin. So, we are really, sir, na sana po you'd give time, no? Ito po yung letter ipapresent po namin sa inyo na maupuan po ninyo with all the parents concerned.
Sige po. Gawin po natin sa lalong madaling panahon. Mamaya, pagkatapos po nito, magtakda na tayo ng dates ng meetings.
Yes, sir.
Ayun na kayo mag-meeting pagkatapos ito.
That's why I said after this.
After this. Dito na nga. Okay. Yes, Irish.
Good afternoon.
Remember, Secretary Duque, these are all Metro Manila based. Wala pa yung Region 4. Wala pa yung Region 3.
Cebu.
Region 4. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Irish.
Good afternoon po sa lahat. Gusto ko pong let me start by thanking DOH through Secretary Duque and Dr. Guerrero, Melissa Guerrero, and especially to the Region 4 people, Director Magpantay, for the assistance given to my son. Napakaayos po ng assistance. Although, in behalf of other parents, gusto ko rin pong manawagan ng, pasensya na po, pero ito kasi ang totoo, totoong monitoring on the ground. Kasi yun po talaga ang wala. Para kasi ang nangyayari ngayon, hinihintay na lang natin na makarating sa inyo ang problema. Na may tatawag, na may sakit, pero yung mga vaccines mismo, hindi talaga sila monitor. And I suggest na dahil patapos na yung school year at yung mga unang nabakunahan for the year 2016 gumraduate na, and ngayong year naman graduate na, I suggest na siguro sa barangay tayong mag-uumpisa. Doon talaga ang pinaka-effective.
Maraming salamat to, Inay. Ang kasama po yan sa trabaho ng ating 500 na mga nurses na ikakalat po natin sa mga paaralan, makikipag-ugnayan sa mga Department of Education.
Oo, sa barangay po, Doc. Kasi sa DepEd, wala na tayong chance doon, gagraduate na yung mga bata.
So, sa barangay, ilalagay na lang po natin sa barangay.
Opo. Then sa naman po, isa pa pong gusto ko lang ding iparating na sa yung mga health workers po natin, sana po mapakiusapan. Kasi napakasakit bilang yung sa mga magulang. Although sa akin hindi nangyayari yon dahil siguro marunong ako magpaglaban para sa karapatan ng anak ko, pero sa ibang mga bata. Kasi madaling sabihin ng mga doctors na, hindi dengue yan. Sa mga forum na ginagawa ng DOH, sinasabi nila na walang masama na epekto ang bakuna. Hindi sana tayo maging conclusive. Kasi alam naman natin lahat ngayon, wala pang kasiguraduhan eh. Yung mga sinasabing namatay, parating sinasabi na walang kinalaman ang Dengvaxia. May nakakapagsabi na ba ngayon, sa puntong ito na wala talagang kinalaman. Kami hindi namin ipagpilitan na ito ay may kinalaman kasi under investigation pa. So sana ang DOH din ay hindi rin ipagpilitan na ito ay wala talagang kinalaman. Kasi pareho lang tayo eh. Pareho tayong wala pang kasiguraduhan. At saka, yung mga taong tumutulong sa mga magulang, sana wag naman silang i-humiliate. Kasi sila lang yung pinagkukunan namin ng lakas.
Pwede kong ibigay niyo sa akin kung anong tanggapan o anong ospital para nang sa ganon matukoy din namin at makausap, mapaimbestigahan sila at magawan ng remedyo o ng solusyon kung may mga kakaibang kaugalian ang ipinakikita o asal, sabihin niyo po sa amin para na sa ganun mapatawag namin at sila ay mapagsabihan po natin.
Actually,
ano po ospital, ano po kung makuha yung pangalan, ay napaka-importante ho ng inyong feedback at makakatulong po ito sa pagpapaigin ng ating sistema.
Actually, medyo mahirap yan kung isa-isa. Pero si Dr. Melissa, alam ko po na nakakabasa kayo dun sa mga groups nila, sa mga messages. Nandun po, nakikita po niyo po yun sa mga comments ng parents, dun sa mga forum na ginagawa nila. Kasi nandun lahat yung mga comments ng mga parents na nakaka-attend ng forum. Nandun lahat yung mga comments ng parents na nagre-reklamo na talagang inaano lang sila ng mga doktor.
So, pagsasabihan ho natin itong mga doktor na ito.
Sana po. Kasi lamang po. Kasi nakikita namin yung effort nyo at sana po hindi po mamatay yung desire nyo, yung strong desire within you na talagang tulungan kami at ibangon yung pangalan ng DOH na nasira. Kasi yung tiwala ng mga tao talagang nawala. So sa ngayon sa nakikita naming effort, unti-unti nyo namang naibabalik yung tiwala. Sana lang po pagpatuloy yun. Hindi lang sa pagtatapos nitong hearing na to, kundi sa mga panahon na wala na to. Kasi yun ang kinakakaba namin na pag wala na to, paano na kami?
Gawin ho natin ang lahat para matugunan ang problema.
There are a lot of parents there in the gallery, and there are parents here whose children have died. Dr. Holsted, with your permission, this young lady wants to ask you a direct question. I probably know the answer to it, but he just wants you to lend your ears to her. Go ahead.
Dr. Halstead, good afternoon po. Thank you for coming here in the Philippines. National Federation of Dengvaxia Victims Organization would like to ask you a question. Is there any possibility that the antidote or lunas for Dengvaxia is possible?
Well, that's, I was briefly referring to that possibility as something that we need to be working toward. To be honest with you, I hope other people in the world hear your question, not just me, because it's going to take a huge effort. Is there a remedy? Yes, there is. If we had one of the vaccines that I was mentioning, and if it was available for use, you know, it's one thing to have a vaccine, it's another thing to have it licensed and available for use. That would be useful. Can we do something to accelerate the development and production of those vaccines? I don't know. To be honest with you, Senator Gordon, this is not just a Philippine crisis. This is a global crisis. You know, dengue is in 110 countries, involving 3 to 4 billion people. It's a huge problem around the world, and we're stuck because we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough people, we have enough money being directed at trying to solve the problems. I mean, I'm sitting here, you know, I've been looking at the Philippines for 2 years and saying, what the heck can we do? Because you're in a terrible pickle. I agree with you. Before I came here, I have a very close Thai colleague who's been in the process of developing a vaccine for years, and it's sort of stuck. He's got it up to a Japanese pharmaceutical company, but you know, they've got this step and that step, and so Sanofi people could tell you how many steps there are. But if we could, you know, mobilize the opinion of the world, not just the mothers, but the mothers of the world, maybe we could move. Because I agree with you. We owe the Philippine people an answer, and I hope we could do something. Thank you.
I think there are two parts to your answer, sir. One was the booster, where you're referring to the booster to handle the effects of.
Yeah, we need a. It's not. I'm sorry to say, it's not a Sanofi booster. It's got to be a completely different vaccine.
That's what she was asking.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
And of course, the other one was referring to the dengue problem throughout the whole world. Is that correct, sir?
Well, exactly, because this is the need for a dengue vaccine is not just here in the Philippines.
That's correct.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. But I think there should be some give insofar as the booster shot is concerned. If there is such a thing, I think that's where.
Well, I agree with you. I'd be happy to discuss this offline with anybody, because we've really got to do something here. We can't do it here in this room. We got to get outside this room and make things happen. But I agree with you completely. I mean, to me, it's incredibly frustrating to think that the parents in the Philippines have got to sit around year after year after year worrying about their children. That's not fair. So we got to do something.
And I think we ought to lend our ears to what Dr. Halson has been saying. And you said that on our first hearing, if I remember correctly, you said that this could last for the next 30 years. You said that, I remember. Dr. Duque, do you remember that?
I think I probably just seconded the statement of Dr. Lansang, who said this could be in for the long haul.
Which is what Dr. Dan said on the fourth situation, where because of this, the people that were given the shot will be under threat for the next 30, 40, 50, for the rest of their lives. For the rest of their lives.
For those who were initially seronegatives.
And that is why I am very, very strong in my position and my conviction that we ought to use that money right away, and if we could provide the data for that, we could actually push it in Congress, not for any bureaucrat to use, but to be able to make sure that we can take action on the planes of these folks. I can appreciate where Irish is coming from, you know. Our people we have a lot of people who work in hospitals. Sa PGH, hirap na hirap yung mga tao dyan. sa mga public hospital, sirap-hirap yung mga tao dyan. And when people come over there, everybody thinks that there is just an emergency, and rightly so. Pero at the same time, dapat maintindihan natin na talagang nagkaroon sila ng problema dahil sa kapabayaan natin ng gobyerno natin. Kaya dapat masabihan talaga yung mga tao na pagka sila ay hindi tumugma sa mga kalaingan ng mga tao na in an appropriate manner, they should be held to pay for that. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's why we should talk right away and find a way to make sure na makakalapit itong mga tao at any time sa inyo or sa sino mang dinedesignate nyo or the Red Cross. Yan ang sinasabi ko. Kaya nga, from the very beginning, we have been working on this with you because na-realize ko yung problema nila. Now, I have a lot of other people here. Kita nyo may mga...
Sir, just very quickly, gusto ko rin hong ibahagi sa atin pong, lalo-lalo na ang ating pong mga magulang na namatayan. Meron po akong sulat kay Pangulong Duterte. Bibigyan ko din po kayo ng kopya para nang sa ganun ho, malaman ninyo kung ano po yung tulong na ating pong hinihingi. Ako na po ang kumakatawan sa inyo kahit na hindi po ninyo alam, ako na po ang mismong nagsusulat kay Pangulong Duterte para ho mabigyan ng assistance o tulong pinansyal hanggang sa maaari po. Kaya bibigyan ko kayo ng kopya din para lang po sa inyong kaalaman.
I think more than just letters, Secretary Duque, we need action. I mean, I'm sure the President is going to help. We don't have to say that here. What is important is we find a way for a mechanism upon which we can get efficient and good action. You know,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When I was reviewing the record of Scott or Dr. Scott over there, he kept talking about two things. One was the effectiveness, and the other one was the ethical part of it. And it struck me. It was everything. It's about the effectiveness and the ethics. It's ethical on our part. It's duty on our part to make sure na yung pagkakamali na yan ay masundan natin ng tama. That's why I'm very demanding. Dapat mag-meeting na tayo agad. Because after this, wala nang hearing sa Dengvaxia. Baka mapabayaan ng mga tao na to. It would really be bad. And I'm glad that they have organized themselves. I can see that even I am affected by this. And I've been in the Red Cross for so long, I've seen so much suffering. But this one is self-inflicted by our government. So it's important that we act on it post-haste. Now there are people here, and let's not go into platitudes anymore. We have letters or we have commitments. The President will help. We need the action right away on the law. We need the procedures upon which our people can find a way in every region in the country na tinamaan ito para magawa kagad. And you need a point man to do this. I don't think you can do it. You need a point man in the Department of Health to do this right away, a point of contact para magawa yan. And
we'll identify as soon as this hearing concludes.
Yung mga kayo dyan, kayo ho namatay, no? Pakita nyo nga lang ho para ipakita nyo yung mga... I can see a lot of kids here. I don't know if they were caused by Dengvaxia. I don't know if they were caused by dengue. They're all probably dengue or probably some other disease. But the fact is, start staring at our faces here.
Alam niyo yun? Masakit sa hanggang ang dalawang anak ko pa, dalawang anak na hindi ka konsulto. Yung mga masakit sa akin. ako, ayoko lang, pero hindi nga nararamdaman namin lahat.
I'm sure po nararamdaman nila. Pero ngayon ho, ma-action po yan, sigurado. Ma-action po yan. Gagawin ho natin yan. Lahat kami magtutulong-tulong. Okay? I think the message is very clear. Ano yan? Yeah.
Pwede sana kaming mag-request ng psychological program para dun sa mga magulang at saka dun sa bata kasi hindi lang naman magulang yung affected dito, pati yung mga bata. Nagkakaroon sila ng stress sa sa nangyayari kasi kahit ilihim namin, nakikita nila sa TV yung mahirap i-explain kahit sabihin namin na huwag silang matakot.
Ma'am, meron po kami pakikipag-ugnayan sa kasama po ito sa amin kasunduan with the Philippine Red Cross. Yung pong psychosocial services or psychosocial debriefing kung tawagin, binubuo na po ng DOH sa kasalukuyan yung pong mga tao na sila pong amin ilalagay sa mga iba't ibang mga rehiyon at iba-ibang tanggapan po ng DOH at saka ng Red Cross. At ang amin pong psychosocial services ay konting panahon pa ho at mailalabas na ho natin ito. Kasi nga po, for the first time ho nangyari ito sa buong kasaysayan ng ating pong Philippine Public Health System na ganito po kalawak, ito pong nangyaring ito. At ako na po ang unang magsasabi sa inyo na talagang hindi po namin ito napaghandaan. Sa totoo lang po, ayaw ko naman pong magsinungaling sa inyo, talaga pong kakaiba itong karanasan na ito. Kanya nga po, mayat-maya, kami po ay natututo mayat-maya po sa mga ulat na amin pong natatanggap mula po sa mga katulad ninyong mga magulang. Kaya ako po ay laging nakikiusap na kung hanggat sa maaari, bigyan nyo kami ng konti paong pasensya. At
Secretary Duque, last na po ito, verification lang po doon sa lab test na binibigay nyo po. Kasi may nagre-reklamo yung MRI ba at CT scan ay hindi sakop doon sa pre-lab test na ginagawa nyo para sa
Inay, Sumachen, yung Dr. Who kasi, sila naman po ang magsasabi po, magbibigay ng advice kung kinakailangan po. Mahirap din naman po kasi kung ang mga doktor na nag-aral po ng 10 taon, nagpakadalubhasa, nagpaka-espesyalista ng 3 hanggang 5 taon, kung hindi po naman natin sila paniniwalaan, eh sino pa ho ang atin dapat paniwalaan? So siguro
I
lang
just need to ask the doctors here. Kailangan ba ang MRI dyan, Marian? Sa Dr. Lasang? Kailangan?
Your Honor, I think that in general po, hindi kailangan. Pero kung may senyas ng encephalitis, yun parang may inflammation sa utak, ganon. O kaya may bleeding na nagpalit ang sensorium ng bata, baka kailangan po. So, gaya ng sabi ni Secretary Duque, yung doktor ho ang makakapag-recommenda kung kailangan.
So the protocol should allow for that. Kung may encephalitis or some other malignancy na kailangan ng MRI, it should be allowed.
Mga doktor naman, they generally would know that kung may indication. May mga clear indications or parameters.
I have notes here from the parents. No? One parent here cannot even bury their child because of extreme poverty.
We should help them.
Yes, okay. So, yung kapatid mo, tulungan nila sa... Ano pangalan niyo? Julian. Kapatid mo yun? Kapatid niya, yung magulang hindi kasama doon. So, Dr. Duque, kailangan ma-handle ka dyan.
Yes, we will do that right away as soon as this concludes, Your Honor.
Sige.
Hindi ko ako alis dito agad di ko kayo nakakausap.
Sige, good. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Iris? Make it short lang because I want the others to talk. No?
Yes.
Okay. Yung protocols, malinaw na sa akin. Kailangan may protocols kayo para mas mabilis ang takbo. Lahat sila sabi pare-pareho. Kumisan, they are not regarded well, they take it for granted, they need to have some assistance sa medicine or madala sa hospital. Yung mabilis na I think kailangan magawa yan.
Yes, sir. In fact, ang ginagawa ho namin ngayon ay talagang pupunta na kami sa mga ospital para makita namin baka yung utos galing sa taas, hindi naman pala nasusunod sa baba. Kaya nga ho, tinitingnan namin, ako mismo, pupunta ho sa mga ospital, kung napapansin nyo po sa mga reports ho, sa dyaryo, talagang inaalam ko kung yung bang Dengvaxia, Dengue, fast lanes ay talagang nakalagay, yung po bang mga doktor natin, kung talagang andun po sila para tumugon, lahat po ng ospital na yan, sa mga 11 ospital na ho, sa loob ng 1 linggo, napuntahan namin, pero libo ho itong ospital na ito na pinag-uusapan natin.
But that is a sign, pagka napunta sa Secretary of Health, dapat yung mga nagtatrabaho sa hospital na yan, alam nila na merong urgency, may urgency. Dapat sundan yung urgency ninyo. Yun ang dapat ipasa sa mga caregivers natin o sa mga health providers natin.
We're doing that, Your Honor.
Yes, I think we should do that. All right. Yes, go ahead, please.
Lastly, gusto kong manawagan sa Congress kasi siguro nanonood sila ngayon na sana tulungan natin ang DOH, bigyan ng tool para magawa na nila yung totoong assistance para sa amin. At gusto ko rin pasalamatan si Dr. Susan Mercado at lahat ng mga taong tumutulong sa amin, yung totoong tulong. At last na concern po, Secretary Duque, sana po, meron kasing si Dr. Lansang before na mention na mishandling of the patients is also dangerous. So sana po yung mga doon sa fast lane, mga espesyalista po talaga ang hahawak. Kasi karamihan dyan or mostly doon sa mga namatay, simpleng sintomas lang naman, sakit ng tiyan or sakit ng ulo. Hindi po kasi siguro sa tingin ko may pagkukulang dahil hindi naman espesyalista yung humahawak. So hindi nila nakikita kaagad kung ano talaga ang sakit nito kaya hindi naaagapan.
Kasama po sa guidelines namin na amin pong binaba ang ang tawag ko rito yung leveling up, yung capacity building ng mga doktor po natin para matukoy, kilalanin ano yung dengue without warning signs, ano yung sintomas ng dengue with warning signs, yung isa without, tapos ano yung severe dengue or dengue shock syndrome. So ito, ibinababa na ho natin para matutunan ng ating mga doktor sa ating po mga ospital at nang sa ganun ho ay maging mataas ang antas ng patient care, yung kalidad ng talagang masisiguro po natin.
Alright, Director Casara ng budget, sinabi sa akin ni Senator Diokno, kasi may Senator Diokno, Secretary Diokno na gamitin niya na yung pera, sinabi niya sa akin na magkita kami the other time. No? So I would like you to help the Department of Health already fashion ninyo para mahanda natin yung bill para mai-craft na natin. Okay? Para mabilis. Huwag yung gamitan ng bureaucracy yan. Dapat mabilis.
Sir, actually, we received a letter for the request for the release of SARO in the amount of 1.1 billion. But as you have said, there will be a joint resolution with the lower house.
Gagawin na namin ngayon. Gagawin na natin yan. Kaya kailangan ko itulong nyo ngayon. Gawin na kagad yan. With my staff and the staff of Secretary Duque. Okay? Para mabilis tayo. Okay? Ayokong matatapos to tapos wala na silang mahanap sa atin. My office will always be open for you.
And so is DOH, Your Honor. DOH will always be open
yeah,
to our...
because ngayon nakakapunta sila dahil may hearing eh. No? Pag wala nang hearing yan, baka matakot na sila, ayaw nila pumunta. I'm just assuring them that they can go to you, they can go to us, they can go direct, or they can go to anybody that they feel can help. But the protocols have got to be made already. Okay? Meron pa? Sige, pakibilis lang ako. Dito ka kayo.
Good afternoon po sa lahat. Yun sa akin, yung kanina pong pinag-uusapan na about dun sa ng treatment sa hospitals. Ako po kasi, pumunta ako, wala naman po akong sa PCMC. Bali, ang ko lang po, yung maayos sana na pagtrato sa aming mga Dengvaxia victim, sa mga anak namin. Yun sa akin po kasi, yung anak ko, hindi naman siya aware about taking pictures. Kausap ko po yung doktor, ang ginawa ng doktor sa kanya, sinabi bawal daw yun. Hindi ko, and sinabihan ko naman din po yung anak ko. Pero hinampas niya ng papel, yung papers na namin. And I feel so hurt.
Yeah, talaga
Kasi
naman, masama ho talaga yon. Ano ang pangalan niyan? At akin
hindi
pong...
ko po nakita yung name ng dalawang doktor.
Pangalan ng doktor ho?
Tapos, I feel humiliated.
Naiintindihan ko po yung inyong pakiramdam.
May mga ibang parents or Dengvaxia victim din doon. Na kaparehas sa amin, magpapacheck up.
Naiintindihan ko po yung
Tomorrow,
sama ng inyo pong hinain, inay.
Yes.
Tulungan niyo po ako, bigyan niyo ako ng pangalan at sisiguraduhin ko na I will put them under disciplinary action.
Nag-complain na po ako sa Director's Office ng PCMC.
Yung PCMC, andito. Sagutin mo nga yan.
Ma'am, nakuha na po namin yung pangalan. Kakausapin na po namin. Nagpapaumanhin po kami kung ano po ang nangyari sa inyo.
Yes,
pero alam na po namin yung mga pangalan ng doktor. Kakausapin po namin ulit sila. Kaya bibigyan po namin ng karampatang disciplinary action. Inuulit po namin na humihingi kami ng paumanhin sa ano man nangyari.
And until lang kasi hanggang ngayon, kaya yung sinabi ko ngayon, kasi ako, na-experience ko yan, what if pa yung mga ibang parents na ang dami-dami naming nangangailangan ng urgent na tulong? Ang sa amin lang naman po, maano lang namin na yung wellness ng anak namin. Kasi ito po nangyari sa amin. Hindi lang yung mga bata ang nasasaktan, pati magulang. Stress na po kami. Ako po, hindi ko alam yun sa kalagayan ng anak ko. And wag naman po sana yung mga doctors na i-relate nyo, sasabihin nyo sa pasyente na ito inherited or genetically na nakukuha. Kasi sa pagkakaalam po namin, hindi kami well-informed doon sa letter or waiver na natanggap namin, na pinirmahan namin. Hindi full detail, hindi kompleto. Tapos, i-relate nyo, ang anak ko sinasabi sa kanya sa PCMC na doktor na thalassemia. Thalassemia, ngayon lang nangyari yun sa anak ko. Naturo ka ng Dengvaxia, and eto, eto, kompleto kung anong mga nararanasan ng anak ko everyday. Everyday sinusulat ko, binibilang ko. Eto, tingnan nyo. Hindi ko alam kung ito yung sinasabi nilang anaphylaxis. For how many times na nangyari to sa anak ko? 3 times nung mga burn months. And to correct yung last hearing na sinabi ko na 1 month, hindi po siya 1 month. Nireview ko po yung mga yung sa photos na dito sa tablet ko. Nakita po yung cough and colds niya 1 week after vaccinated. And September, nung nalagnating siya, 39.2 degrees Celsius. Hindi ko alam kasi walang nakalagay, hindi in full detail or hindi kompleto yung detalye sa waiver na pinirmahan ko sa consent na ino ko. Yung sa anak ko.
Asikasuhin ho natin yung anak ninyo at ang yung po waiver na sinasabi ninyo, ito po yung kakulangan nung dati pong nagpatupad nitong programang ito. Ngunit ay nakalipas na ho yan at balak po natin na ayusin po natin ito. Pero para po naman sa kaalaman ng lahat, ay tinigil na po natin yung pagbabakuna. Number 1. Number 2, yung pong pangangalaga sa kalusugan ng 837,000 children ay talagang yun po ay isang malaking hamon na sinusolusyonan po ng inyong Department of Health. At kanina po, nabanggit ninyo na ang PCMC mukhang okay naman yata yung pangangalaga. Yung nga lang, nasaktan kayo dahil doon sa sinabi nung isang doktor na nagpipicture taking yung anak ninyo ay nahampas, iba naman ho ito. Talagang masamang-masama naman ho yung ganun asal. Hindi ho yan asal ng isang lingkod bayan. At ating pong sisiguraduhin na makatanggap po sila ng nararapat na disciplinary action.
Last na po sa U5. Secretary Duque, pupunta po kayo kay President Duterte po.
I-follow up po itong mga sulat ko sa...
Pwede po bang pakisama na rin dyan na kailangan namin mga magulang ang justice? Kaya gusto namin may mananagot dito.
Talaga we will make sure that the ends of justice are served. At kailangan po kung sino yung mananagot, talagang kailangan po sila ay managot at para ho yung hustisyang hinihingi po natin para sa mga magulang at lalong-lalo na po sa mga batang, sa mga pamilyang namatayan, ay sisiguro din po natin na ang hustisya po ay...
Thank you po. Aasahan po namin lahat yan.
Sige po, Inay.
Dr. Scott will meet with the parents after this. Is that correct, Dr. Scott? Thank you very much.
We'll join them, Your Honor.
And Secretary Duque, I have to vacate. This is the people's hall. Kaya pinababa ko kayo dito para masabi niyo lahat yung dapat na sabihin. No? Sa inyo ito eh. So, tinatanong tayo dito, will there be justice? It's going to be an everyday battle to get justice. But it's even going to be an even worse fight if we don't heed the call of these parents and of these people who lost their loved ones or who are suffering from the stresses of this very vicious disease. So kailangan natin tulungan sila. And on that note, I don't want to, baka tawagan pa tayo ng pasin ng Senate President. I will conclude the hearings on Dengvaxia with the assurance that you can always see the Secretary of Health, certainly this representation committee ko. It will always be open sa inyo. And of course, the Red Cross, kaya inarapat ko na mag-meeting na ang Red Cross sa PhilHealth para tuloy-tuloy yan. Ang Secretary of Health para sa ganun mapagpatuloy natin itong mga bagay na ito. We will submit a report right away, and I'd like to thank all our panelists here. It's been a very, very heartrending, very exasperating, very frustrating, very difficult time for the Blue Ribbon. Sunod-sunod ang aming investigasyon. Pero hindi kami susuko dito. We will continue seeking what is correct for our people and what is right for our people. And on that note, we shall now adjourn this hearings on Dengvaxia, and the report will be forthcoming. And you can be assured, I think you know already, that this will be a hard-hitting report with the end in view that this sad part of our history will never be repeated again by the very sentinel, by the very guardians of our health, the Department of Health. We cannot allow this to happen again. And we must rely on good science and relying on our strong faith in each other to be able to make sure that we do no harm to our people and that we give them the necessary services, health services that must be forthcoming. Thank you all very much for coming. I hereby adjourn these hearings of the Committee on Blue Ribbon or Accountability of Public Officers. Thank you all.